Hey everyone, this is ATG. Welcome to another session, another KOF11 high-level match video analysis session. Today I thought why not just do this live like last time when we had the donation stream for Mad Gear, and I think it's just way more interesting to do this live since I'm too lazy to cut these videos anyway. And today I decided to present to you a clash of Gian and Shingo. Both of them being players from Nagoya. Gian is quite a famous player actually. He is a multi-game player, very strong player in many different fighting games and has attended Togeki several times from what I recall. And he's also an employee of Port 24, so he's working where he's playing, which is pretty great if you ask me. And it was only yesterday that he was actually streaming right from Port 24, and Port 24 currently has limited opening times because of the COVID-19 situation in Japan, and the YouTube stream for Port 24 now supports donations. So we should totally help these guys out to make sure that there will always be a place for them where they can play their games, and that's true for all arcades in Japan. If you can, please consider supporting them financially. If it's a possibility for you in these times, because next time I want to go to Japan, I want to make sure that arcades are still there. The other player, obviously, is Shingo, which we had before. Sorry, I have to pause. This is going a bit too quick for me, and gonna roll this back a bit. Shingo, widely considered the #2 player in Japan. We had him already on the stream with the Hirasha versus Shingo set. Not much to say there other than he's a very strong player. And this clash should be interesting. Another reason I picked this matchup is because Gian is playing Gato, and we didn't have a single Gato yet on my videos. So I thought it was time to do this. By the way, hi Roxanne, Genki desu ka? We have viewers from Japan watching us already, which is pretty cool. Right, so let's head right in, I would say. Match 1, Gian, Shingo, both with Kula first. And there we have right off the bat a jumping E counter hit for Gian in the corner pin. Shingo trying his best to get out of the corner. While jumping C there, couldn't cross up, not sure what he was trying to do there. Now the tables have turned and Shingo has Gian in the corner. Nice confirm there for light punch breath, takes the knockdown, goes for the jumping C. That's a bit unsafe there because the knockdown doesn't offer you enough time for that. Nice punish there on the whiff ADP. That was unintentional. The DP there was supposed to be a breath. It's quite the scramble here. Nice roll back, and there's the punish on the follow-up for the race spin. Giant was a bit impatient there, hard knockdown. Another jump C with a short delay. That might be to beat either Dragon Punch or race spin. I'm not familiar with the mirror match, but Kula's Dragon Punch is not fully invincible. It has a hurt box on the legs, actually. And since her jumping C is has such a big hitbox, it's probably possible to beat the Dragon Punch out. Now we have leader Gato for Giant versus now leader Ryo for Shingo, who takes the stun. That's not a dead Gato, but it's huge damage and a nice meter build there. A nice instant overhead jumping D there for Shingo. Weird cross-up jumping B that landed Shingo on the left side, and LDM kill for Gato. Now it's Ryo versus Kim, and what's interesting is that Giant is playing Ryo not as leader, but just as a regular character, which is unusual because Ryo is so strong as a leader. That's also why Shingo plays him as a leader. The LDM just does instant stun, and that will give you a free combo, usually with nice meter build and nice damage. It's very valuable. However, Gato probably has the best leader super in the game, so an easy choice I would say there for Giant in team building. Also, Ryo is quite underrated without his LDM. He's still very strong, he has such good normals. I talked about it a bit in the last videos. Nice shift combo there into LDM, hard knockdown, goes for the meter build into overhead, goes for the instant overhead jumping Ds. Gato, however, that is a very close match already. Nice air-to-air jumping B from Kim, incredibly strong air-to-air normal there. Pretty bad angle downwards, but air-to-air beats almost everything. Maybe save for like King jumping B, who is probably the best air-to-air normal in the game. And fake cross-up there and some chip damage, and takes it with the standing A. Kim just lives from his incredibly strong normal. Standing A is such a multi-purpose tool. Crouching A is incredible. His sweep is very fast. His jump attacks are strong. He's overall just a strong normal character, normal game character. Much like Gato, however, Gato just has more flexibility and even more frame advantage. So first match taken by Shingo. Close first match there. Let's see how long it takes for both players to settle in a bit and find their rhythm. Hello, Serio-san. Oh, Yurasha-san. Konnichiwa. We have Yurasha-san and lots of other players watching. Yurasha, of course, being the strongest KOF player and strongest Tokyo-based player as well. So, Shingo with the corner pin there. Giant manages to escape. Now his turn with the pin. Very nice, heavy breath there, confirmed into jumping C. There we go, that's the famous, or rather infamous, Gato upkick loop. Builds an insane amount of meter. Both the ground projectile and the upkick builds about 10 meter. That's 10 out of 112. It's absolutely ridiculous. If you do the full loop, you almost build a bar, or maybe even a bit more than a bar, and it just does incredible damage, and you can easily finish this with a super. Problem, however, is now that Giant has his leader already in there. Actually, I'm totally confused. I just realized that wasn't my own stream chat. It's a stream chat from Port 24 I'm seeing. It's a bit it's a bit embarrassing. I guess I should drink my coffee a bit quicker. Anyway, Shingo's turn now. Nice back hit there, goes for the back roll to bait a potential Shoryuken. Jump C, instant overhead from Giant. Giant whiffing the sweep. Whiffing sweep with Kula might look a bit weird, but it's actually intentional. You can easily Kara cancel, that's empty cancel it into Shoryuken or Ray Spin on reaction, depending on what your opponent is doing. It's a strong strategy against many characters. They cannot really approach you from the ground because of the sweep, and if they jump, you can just Shoryuken. Guard crush there. Unfortunately, Giant cannot convert. And Desperation Shoryuken there. Again, Ryo has no recovery when he comes in after a down. That's why he opted to go for the Shoryuken there instead of, like, let's say, a block. So 2-0 for Shingo already. It's kind of weird to hear my own name in the old stream archive. It's Sawakoro there commenting and saying hello to me. And there we go again, Kula mirror match. Misses the Shoryuken there. Would have been a punish if it was spaced differently. Nice back turn combo there, goes for the hard knockdown. Let's see if he goes for a cross up. No, opts to go for the safe jumping C there. Again, back turned knockdowns in the corner will allow you a cross up. But against Kula you kind of don't want to do that in case they get the auto turn Shoryuken. Also, there wasn't enough time after the Shoryuken knockdown. He would have had to do a different ender for that combo. Now it's Ryo versus Kula. Ryo with the strong pressure there, standing B, run up C, forward A. Let's see how he manages, how he holds up against Shingo's Kula. There was YOLO jumping D there from Ryo. Surprised that there was no punish. Nice punish there. He did the immediate breath, so Giant could not do a saving shift, because if the first hit that hits you launches you, you cannot do a saving shift. And Shingo just there with the incredible awareness that Giant would have been able to do the saving shift. And there we go, that's a stun combo, extra meter build, another instant launch into super, and a quick win from Shingo there. I think it's quite interesting that Giant decided to put Gato in as a second character, not a third character, meaning that if Kula dies, he will have Gato coming in. I'm not sure why he's doing that. I guess he just is really confident that he can have 2 stocks. Whenever, should Kula die, he would have 2 stocks. And that's what you need for the leader super, of course. But I always see most players put their leader in third and not second. Another example, somebody who also puts his leader in second is Yateru Kara, aka Hiroshi-san, aka Tobidogu-san, all the same player. He's a famous Tokyo player who's playing a zoning game. All his characters are zoning characters, and he likes to put a second character in as his leader, which is Jazu, who has very low stun. I find it very surprising that he does that, but it works out for him. He's doing quite well with his zoning team and with that setup. Ryo mirror matches. There we go. Standing B, standing D, jumping E, jumping D. Ryo's jumping D is giving me nightmares. That attack is so good. It can cross up against crouching opponents. It has incredible frame advantage. Yeah, it's a pain to deal with. Not as bad as Kula Jump C in any case, but still. There we go. That was the Gato bread and butter combo, 2 times crouching B into super. However, Shingo had saving shift, which he immediately used. Shingo now pinning Gato in the corner with his Kim, making the best out of his normals. There we go. Throw. Gato jumping E is one of the strongest air normals there is. Also has nice reward on counter hit, since you can combo after jumping and standing E attacks on counter hit in KOF. It's basically a jump CD. That was a safe shift there to Ryo. Basically not hit confirming the fast E with Gato, just doing it so he can get Gato out of there and Ryo in there. And now Ryo mirror again. That's his bread and butter. 2 times standing A into Shoryuken. It works particularly well if you have Ryo leader, because then you can super cancel the standing A, add the Shoryuken into the leader super, which is one motion. It's just forward, quarter circle forward punch, quarter circle forward E, and that's an easy and good confirm off of light attacks. Actually the only one into LDM. His other combo of choice to go into LDM obviously is crouching C, which you either do after crouching B or just a jump in attack. It's 4-0 already for Shingo. Shingo's having a nice lead there already, and Gian is struggling a bit to find a rhythm. It's quite the slugfest. Both players are playing this quite aggressively, this matchup. Which is interesting because Shingo is, in my opinion, more of a defensive player and a very calculating player, but they are going all out right now. Particularly with their Ryos and their Kulas. Here we go, YOLO jump, super jump D into bread and butter combo, hard knockdown in the corner. Still goes for the jump C, and there you could see a counter hit. That was, I would assume that was a reversal Shoryuken, or maybe a fuzzy throw or something. He keeps doing that, Shingo, in the mirror match. It seems to be good against Kula. Against other characters you can easily get punished if you do this small jump C after the Shoryuken. Because there's not enough time to get it down meaty. He does it too. There you go, and another counter hit. So they both know about this, whatever it is. I assume it's just a Shoryuken. I would have to test this. Nice movement there from Shingo, trying to stay out of small jump distance of Ryo and trying to see or react to something that he can Shoryuken there. Now it's Gato time. Gato building some extra meter there. And very nice combo there. You love the trade as Gato with the punch super. If you trade, you can just follow up with run up small jump D and then the kick super, which just juggle anywhere. It's a very strong strategy. If you can't do that because of spacing, you can just run up and sweep. That's also nice added damage there. Fortunately, most of the damage for Gato super, or let's not say most, but a good chunk of damage rests on the first hit. It's just overall one of the best supers in the game. 4 frames startup, the A version. You never use the C version, by the way, only the A version. 4 frames of startup, a great hitbox, full invulnerability during the startup, and you don't mind the trade at all. Oh, also it's -4, so it's incredibly hard to punish. Nice instant overhead there, unfortunately didn't kill, and now he eats a full punish for that. Nice corner pin there from Giant. Goes for the cross up B, very nice block. Jump D, waits for a potential reversal, maybe even waiting for a guard cancel roll attempt or a roll attempt. A very patient play from Gian. Unfortunately, now he's dead, and down goes his Ryo. Shingo leading 5-0 already. I talked about this before, it's quite interesting. Most, or actually the two top players, Yurasha and Shingo, don't have Gato in their teams. Even though he's widely considered top 2 character, some people, that would be Shingo, consider him to be the strongest even. There are a few very strong Gato players in Japan, obviously. Gian is one of them, the other one is Kyun Takuya, and then there's a couple of more in Tokyo, particularly. Nice race pin counter hit there, hard knockdown, there we go, the jumping C again, walk forward C with the breath, waiting for a roll, but he still was able to roll out anyway. Now it's Shingo's turn, nice air hit, resets him with standing B into standing jumping C, and goes to the easy bread and butter there off of the light hits. And Shingo there with the option select throw and just got the C hit into a full combo. Now it's back to neutral, there we go with the sweeps, trying to react to potential race spins or small jumps. And now Gian with the kill. And there we go, quick recovery on Ryo again and just got the throw. Cross up attempt and Ryo rolling out. Jumping B, standing E, jumping D. Very patient play there again from Shingo, that's how I know his style. He just tries to wait for reversals, for reversal roll, for reversal Shoryuken. Trying to get that full punish there. And now Kim versus Gato seems to be an interesting matchup. I didn't particularly ever play this or pay attention to it, but I think Kim can hold his own just from his strong normals in this matchup, if it wouldn't be for all the strong meter burn options that Gato has. Nice play there from Giant. This time he won the 1 versus 1. Building some meter, keeping his distance. Nice counter there. Doesn't lead too much, but can be nice to do from time to time. It's interesting how Giant uses the quarter circle forward punch from Gato as a poke. It both builds meter, but he seems to be using it as a poke. I mean, he can probably super cancel it on reaction. Nice super there. He didn't roll forward, that was surprising. I would have expected him to quick recovery forward to be closer to Shingo's Ryo. Ryo now with the leader hit. That was a missed super, I think. I think he wanted to do the heavy punch Rambu, because the heavy punch Rambu is safe against saving shift if done right. It beats the character jumping in there, but he missed it. That was the Rambu there. That was a wish confirm, and now he's dead. First match taken now by Giant. Ryo's dandy step like move, if you know what I mean, the one where he does this little mini backdash and then dashes forward with his fist, has some interesting properties. It doesn't have any invulnerability, but it has a guard point right when he starts going forward again. Also negates projectiles. And since you do this little backwards motion, you sometimes just dodge moves, and then on reaction, if you see your opponent whip something, can cancel that into LDM, which is quite strong. Or even into shift, since it juggles if you get an air hit. It can be used in combos. Here we go, Kula mirror match again. Jumping E from Giant, jumping C. Super jump C, catches the back roll, gets the knockdown. Now Shingo cornered, jumping C. Breath. Nice jump up there, basically to beat race spin or roll forward, which is exactly what he did there. Oh! That was a miss. I have no idea what he tried to do there. Looked like a miss input. Very strange. I mean, it worked out for him. He didn't get punished. Nice. And Giant takes the mirror match. Nice safe jump there. Unfortunately can't punish the A Shoryuken from Ryo. It's hard to punish, like in all other KOFs. KOFs. Nice corner pin. Reacted to the forward roll with C. Saving shift from Shingo. Shingo now has his Kim. And now Giant woke up. Very nice Kula play overall. Super reactionary. Nice spacing there. Saving shift on reaction to super. And now it's Ryo versus Kim. Shingo shifts to his Ryo, hits the LDM, goes for the meterless BNB that you do in this situation, which is just jump D, standing C, and then the Sanretsuken. Oh no! And Gian missed his bread and butter combo, unfortunately. Ah, there we go. That was the dandy step move I was talking about, and he just quick shifted it to Gato just to be safe and have Ryo out there because he was so low HP. Giant a bit over aggressive here and a dearly pays for it. Interesting. I'm not sure if that was a missed input or intended by Shingo that he did the Hadouken there instead of the Sanretsuken. Sorry also that I'm mixing the Street Fighter and the KOF terminology. I really can't be bothered with learning the move names of 38 characters. Ah, Roxanne. From here, I feel that Giant has won 5 consecutive victories. I had watched the 2 people in the port 24. Oh, this is gonna be interesting. The Giant is gonna catch up now. Standing B is such an important normal in this mirror match. As you can see, it stops Racepin clean, and since Racepin has invulnerability, it's such a good option to just throw it out there inside of pressure. Nice standing C, punish there for the rollout. Giant taking the lead there. Tries to escape with the slide after the Racepin because he saw that he crossed him up there. And nice shift to Gato with the juggle anywhere super after standing D. Goes for the meaty projectile, however Ryo was able to roll out. Doesn't help him though. Nice shift combo there. That's not a stun, but it doesn't matter. It was super nice damage. The instant over jumping D for a trade, and now Ryo is out of the picture and Shingo switched in his Kim. Shingo trying to get these cross-ups with Kim, something that he excels at, which is also a good strategy to try and avoid the angles Kula has to anti-air, which are obviously the Shoryuken angle and then probably the Racepin angle if you think small jump from the front. But if you have an opponent who just jumps into your neck, then it's kind of hard to anti-air with Kula. Crouching C isn't really an option, even though it looks like an anti-air. You would rather use it in combos to, let's say, stun. Or if you play her as leader, since her leader super is juggle anywhere, then sometimes it's used. Other than that, you don't really see it. No, Shingo almost dead. Giant really stepped up his Kula game over these last matches. Very strong play, very nice. And takes it with the A breath.
KOF11 というゲームは展開が非常に早いんですが、お互いになかなかじりじりとした試合と一気に展開を早めていこうという試合と結構目まぐるしい展開になっています。
There we go, jumping E trade. Ah, there was a Hail Mary jumping C there with no cross-up hitbox. Very risky, didn't work out for him at all. Now the heavy kick race spin for Shingo, which gives massive frame advantage. Unfortunately, Giant manages to break out. Again, the situation where Shingo tries to roll out of the corner and Giant was just waiting for it with the standing C. Double hit, easy hit confirmed there. Now both players keeping their distance, building meter with quarter circle back punch. And Shingo on the offensive now, Giant cornered. Shingo wasn't able to confirm there into the race pin. Maybe he didn't think he was close enough and opted to go for the standing B. Weird jumping D there. He did it super early and it wasn't an instant overhead since it was a normal jump. Maybe he tried getting the small jump instant overhead and accidentally got the big jump, which you do get if you push the button too early. Anyway, now it's Ryo versus Ryo. Accidental input there. Wasn't able to confirm into a combo there. Shingo now with Kim. Nice jumping B. Goes for the cross-up attempts, but manages not to hit. Wow, that was a weird cross-up there from Ryo. Nice reset attempt, and very nice reversal there from Shingo on reaction. Unfortunately, it hit in the wrong direction and wasn't able to hit Gato there. Gato now with the meaty projectile that gives obscene amounts of frame advantage, at least +8 from what I remember from my testing. Nice pressure there from Shingo with the run-up, crouching B, standing A, run-up again. Now Gato first of all trying to get some distance in, quick shift to Ryo, which is not an issue. Oh no, that reversal, oh god no, that wasn't very good. Ouch. At least he's still alive. That looked like a safe jump jumping E, but I guess he didn't guard in the end, but it didn't matter then. Another misinput there from Shingo. Unusual to get the forward back forward there. And that's a win streak there for Gian. Much like Rock predicted in the chat, or recalled rather in the chat. Last time I was in Nagoya, I played against Gian and I couldn't get past his Kula. He blew me up so badly, it was incredible. Pretty much what you're seeing here, but 10 times worse. So match start, breath there. Jump C whiff and immediate punch from Shingo. Super sick combo there. That's a back turn only combo and you need... Oh, actually, sorry, no, it's not back turn only, but you need perfect spacing to the corner to do these small race spin loops. And nice comeback there from Shingo. There we go, the up kick loop builds insane meter and very nice damage. Doesn't go for the super though, instead opts to go for the reset. Good decision there, worked out for him. There was a safe jump, jumping B with no cross up. Ryo just rolling out there. Now Gato with the jump E pressure, bullying as good as he can. Shingo will have none of that. Just shifts now to Kim. And back to Ryo. Very aggressive play there from Shingo. I guess he wants to get Gato out of the picture as quickly as he can. Gato was also almost stunned. Something that can be abused is the fact that crouching Gato is very tall, so you can instant overhead him very easily. The downside is, and I talked about this before, that you cannot cross him up with small jumps because his collision box crouched is too big. Ah, there you go. That I was waiting for this. Shingo is just going with this there again with these very high cross-up attempts that will just make the Shoryuken of Kula whiff. There you go, cross-up attempt from Ryo, but Ryo's rolling out. That very short back walk on Okizeme was to bait a reversal there from Shingo, basically like a delayed meaty. I like to do that as well. It's a very Gato way of option selecting against reversals or rolls or anything that your opponent could be doing. Particularly when your opponent has 5 stocks and a shift bar, you want to be careful because they can just cancel their wake up move either into, let's say, a quick shift or even super cancel it. Ideally, you won't even let them connect. It's the same logic as in Guilty Gear where when your opponent has a reversal, you don't want to block their reversal to allow them to roam and cancel. You just want to make it whiff, so you backdash on their wake up. It's the same logic here in KOF where you don't want anything from your opponent to connect on guard, so they aren't able to quick shift. However, I mean, in this situation right now, there was no character left, so there was no fear of any quick shift. And Shingo, the first one to connect there. Bad roll forward there from Gian, immediately punished by a heavy punch breath from Shingo. And Shingo with the Kula bread and butter pressure. Very interesting by Gian there to try and break out with the breath. But the move is just so strong you can afford to try and do that since the reward is also so high. And Shingo with the quick kill there. And that was what I was talking about. There was a reversal Shoryuken from Ryo and immediate quick shift to Gato to get him out of there. Not sure why he did that. I guess he didn't No, I'm not sure. I mean, he didn't even have 2 stocks. For some reason, he just wanted to get Ryo out there and Gato in there.
アッパー単位タイプ
And there we go, jumping E, jumping D,
現山は相打ち
dandy step.
中のジャンリーの下方向への反転の強さを生かしながら
Standing A from from Shingo's Kim, so strong. Very nice punish there on the whiffed cross up. You can you have landing recovery after jumps in KOF, and you can punish people that jump around wildly by giving them meaty hits if they miss their attacks, and that's exactly what Shingo did there. He did a crouching B, crouching A as a punish to Ryo's jump. That's bread and butter strategy with Oswald because you have low profile on your crouching B. And now we have leader versus leader, reversal leader super from Giant's Gato. Now Giant with the corner pressure. Close C into sweep. Close C gives obscene amounts of frame advantage, like everything Gato has, but close C particularly a lot. I think it's +6 if I'm not mistaken, or even +7.
さあゲージは温
There we go, super. Gato super also gives incredible okizeme. Afterwards you can easily do a very short walk forward and then do a cross up, a super jump cross up jumping B, or fake cross up jumping B, and confirm that into a combo. You can also just walk forward and then roll for your opponent to do an easy left-right mix-up.
一人でできるもん性能がやばい
So he has everything. The only thing he doesn't have, I think, to talk about Gato a bit,
今のところはおそらく
if he has no meter, he has no reversals. And also his tall hitbox when he's crouched. I would say those are his 2 weaknesses.
生天理を出す
But that's about it.
これはおーっと
Ouch, didn't press a button there in the air, but even if he would have pressed a button, it's very hard to win against Gato's jumping E. Giant trailing very slightly behind now. It's 6-5 for Shingo. Still a very close match and nice comeback so far from Giant.
やはりガトジャイアンさんがなんか楽しくなってきたさあそうですねこれがリーダーガトーの底力ですねまさにガトーイコールジャイアンですからさあ12本目ですね次は
There we go, very aggressive jumping Cs from
白
Shingo.
熱した試合が
And always cancelled into breath, which is plus, gives frame advantage, both the A and the C version. So it's a good combo ender there.
ジャンプ C の応酬レースピンから
Nice reversal there through the combo, the guard combo of Shingo. Giant now, ouch! And Shingo was just waiting for that jump. There was such a quick Shoryuken. I wonder if it even was on reaction, maybe he just knew.
ジャンイと
Jumping E, jumping C, but Giant manages to mash in. Now there we go, corner pressure now from Shingo. Giant with the rollout did work out for him. You have to take risks against Kula. Basically you have 2 options if you are cornered. One is to do a very late roll, the other one is to do a normal jump. The roll will beat the fast breath, the A breath, and the normal jump will beat the slow breath. But the time window to do that is very, very slow. Also, if they don't use the breath at all, you are screwed.
ゼロスキルになってしまったので
We've seen this already many times where Kula in the mirror match would just try and roll out and would eat a standing C.
ちょっとこれは
The good thing is, once you teach them you can deal with their A and their C breath, the mind games start, and then they will stop their pressure to see whether you roll, and then you can do other things, let's say poke and push them back a bit. In general, it's a horrible situation to be cornered against Kula though. Nice combo there. Pushes him back to get the shift out. Very nice awareness. I haven't seen this before. Usually you do this back turn combo when you're closer to the corner to get the race pin loop I was talking about before.
コパンコパンと刻んで
Now Shingo has Giant's Ryo cornered. Ryo jumping out with jumping E. Anti-air super attempt there from Shingo. Ah, and there we go. Also something I mentioned before. There was the heavy punch Ranbu from Ryo, which beats saving shift.
慎吾さんの方はもう少し逃げ
Standing E was probably supposed to be a jumping E from Shingo there. Now we have the mirror match. There we go. Another wake up Shuriken into saving shift to get his leader out of there. Very nice anti-air super. This time it worked out for him. Ouch, he dropped the combo. There was supposed to be a forward A.
出てきてうまい
That's a dashing attack from Kim, which has juggle anywhere, but missed it. But it didn't matter in the end. He took the match anyway.
ここで
7-5 now for Shingo. By the way, the tier list I will be discussing later is also by Shingo. And it has some interesting placements on there which I haven't seen before. I thought there was a good opportunity to talk about characters. But we will come to that. We had that before, the jumping E trade. That's a good match start. I mean, it's only 6 frames. There we go, Gian with the early knockdown. However, Shingo with the rollout. Very nice. There's the back turn combo again. Nice meter build, nice damage. Back turn knockdown. There we go. That was a cross-up attempt, but Gian blocked it correctly. That was supposed to be a crouching B. He got the accidental down forward B because of the roll. It crossed up. He was holding down back in case Gian was doing a reversal. And there we go, another Shoryuken into quick shift, this time to Gato. Gato with 2 stocks, nice, there we go. Bread and butter combo with super cancel. However, I'm not sure that was intended. He wasted a quick shift bar and Shingo was able to saving shift there. Not sure I agree with this. Now Shingo's turn. Nice cross up there, unintentional, but it worked out for him. However, now he's cornered. Goes for the guard cancel, high jump, jumping D into the Wrecker combo, into shift back to Kula, and now it's knockdown. Nice reaction there on the rollout for Ryo. Goes for the sweep, Kara cancelled into race spin. I haven't seen this before as Okizeme, but it looked like a nice trap. It would have lost to Ryo's Shoryuken, or at least traded, but still, it's nice to, I guess, bait some kind of reaction from your opponent. Didn't confirm off of the jumping E counter hit. He could have added something quick there, I guess. Doesn't matter, gets the back hit, and that's the combo I was talking about, the forward A into the juggle anywhere, shift back to Ryo. Very nice combo there, and takes the match. 8-5 now for Shingo. These shift combos off of these Rambo type supers are quite hard actually, because the hit stun from these attacks is usually very low and you have to be very quick to connect the jump in attack. Also the buffer for quick shifting isn't too small, but when it comes to these multi-hit supers, for some reason it's very hard to get a quick shift. You have to have good timing or be lucky even, especially if you do it mid-combo. First hit is fine because you have a frame buffer of like 6 frames where you can do the quick shift a bit early, but whenever you miss that and the Rambo starts and you want to do it like halfway through, like Shingo just did there, it's quite tricky. However, I'm speaking from Oswald experience. Maybe it's easier with Ryo. I somehow doubt it though. Not sure what that jump D was supposed to be. I mean, you can't cross up with jump D there. Very Hail Mary, and now Shingo gets punished for it. Is cornered there. D version, race spin, A breath. Tries to roll out, gets back cornered. Knockdown combo there for Giant. Giant with the jump C, crouching B, and knockdown. Shingo almost dead. Shingo manages to roll out. Guard cancel roll from Giant. Gets the kill. Trade with Ryo. Again, Ryo so quick to recover after the down. I think players should take countermeasures by now. I mean, whenever Ryo comes in, he's just free to do whatever he pleases. And I haven't seen both of these players adapt to that yet. Whatever they tried, Ryo was either able to escape or even trade. Hard knockdown there for Shingo. Tried to go for, it looked like a crouching B, and then Gato quick shifted his D wake up super, the up kick, and back to Ryo. Ryo got the cornered the back hit in the corner, and now it's Ryo versus Shingo's Kim. Giant has a nice lead there. Shingo sits on 2 stocks, but his characters are so low HP, it's gonna be hard to win this, and Giant's team is fully intact. Nice standing B there from Shingo, just poking away at Giant. Very patient play. It's gonna be hard to win. He has 3 stocks and 2 quick shift bars. However, Giant also has saving shift. So it's gonna be hard for Shingo to do something. His best bet is try to get an anti-air super. And nice dandy step there to beat the wake up. And there we go. Giant takes it.
もうここまで来るとキャラはずっとこれでいくでしょう。クーラ両リーダーが交代、リーダー両クーラキム。さあ10先も中盤戦から後半に差し掛かって、もう後半ですね。現在15本目。
And Giant, the first one to connect, again with super jump, jump C, these wild swings, not hitting there, doesn't matter. Again, back turn punish, this is bread and butter by now in this mirror match, just to wait and to react to these rolls with standing C. This is something that I find very hard, by the way. Obviously, it's easier if you play a character like Kula who has a 4-frame standing C and a 2-hit standing C, that makes it easier to hit confirm. But in general, getting these punishes on rolls is quite hard, in my opinion. Now it's Kula versus Ryo. Ryo there with the jumping D hit. Ryo very patient. Trying to keep his distance, run in, guard, standing B, jumping D. Did a counter there. I wonder if that was intentional or just supposed to be a standing B. Shift to Kim. There was a cross-up attempt with the jumping A, but Giant didn't crouch, so he couldn't cross up. Now Giant's Gato's in the picture, going for the jumping E. Another jumping E, backdashes again, tries to get in again. Rolls out of the corner, nice super there. Up kick, crouching C, whiffs the quarter circle forward A and goes for the reset jumping V. Worked out nicely for him. That's almost a dead Kim there. Nice guard on the reversal and kill. And there we have Ryo's reversal whiffing. Shift to Ryo. Jump D, jump D, jump D. I hate this move. It's so strong. Nice dandy step there. Reset with the standing C. Tries to react to the roll-up, but it was a guard cancel, so he couldn't punish it. And Giant was able to escape and then take it in the end. And Giant is catching up nicely here. This is a close set there. Nice punish there. The jumping C was way too high. He immediately saw that and buffered the throw. Now knockdown for Giant, goes for the crouching B, pressure into super jump C, get a hit, gets the hard knockdown. Kula already almost dead, and I think that's a dead Kula. Yeah, there we go. That was a meaty jumping C there. There could have been a potential reversal from Ryo, but I guess he didn't want to try his luck in case his Shoryuken would have whiffed. Ryo trying a standing B there, gets snuffed out by Kula, and there we go. Sweep cancelled into breath. Nice hit there from Shingo. Unfortunately, I think he intentionally dropped the combo there with Kim because he expected his opponent to do a saving shift. Nice punish there on the Shoryuken, and there is the saving shift in the end to Gato, who now has a knockdown. Small jump, jumping E, does not go for any crazy Okizeme, which doesn't make any sense against Kim anyway because he has a charge down up reversal. Jumping E whiffs, and nice punish there from Kim, and there we go. LDM, hard knockdown, jumping D, standing C, and Shoryuken. Quick shift to Kim, forward A juggle anywhere into the super, and that's a dead Gato. Nice comeback there from Shingo. He lost his Kula early, but manages to come back here. Drops the combo at the second Shoryuken. That was an unintentional charge back forward. He can be lucky that he didn't eat a full combo there. And now it's Giant's Ryo in the picture. Standing D. Shingo again trying to go for these cross-ups. There again, tried to go for a cross-up, didn't react to the jump of Ryo quickly enough. Also misses his cross-up. And now Shingo has Giant cornered. There we go, Shoryuken. Sweep. Manages to get a throw break. Parry attempt from Giant there. And Giant going for these dandy steps to try and super cancel on reaction. Shoryuken reversal, standing D, jumping D, forward A. Nicely blocked from Shingo, there was an overhead. And now it's Giant's Kula. Oh, Giant didn't react, he did the sweep but wasn't able to react in time and do the Shoryuken. And now it's Ryo versus Ryo again. Nice throw break there. There was very nice conditioning there. I would have probably expected the jump B to connect on guard and wouldn't even have put a throw in there. And a very close win from Shingo, and Shingo now with match point.
さあ塾長精神統一をしている。さあジャイアンさんはここからあと3本何としてでも取りたい。ここからの逆転も十分にあり得る。
So this is match point Shingo. Standing A to stop the small jump attempt there. Nice crouching B, run up crouching B pressure from Shingo. However, a close C hit from Gian immediately confirmed into a bread and butter combo. Now has him cornered. Nice confirm from the crouching B into Shoryuken. Good blocks there from Shingo. Race spin hit from Gian. He tried to reset with the standing A but didn't get the hit. Doesn't matter. He bullies his way to victory. And gets the race spin hit into hard knockdown in the corner, jumping C overhead, heavy kick race spin to get more frame advantage, far B into the breath. Another hard knockdown there, tries to go for backdash, I guess to bait a reversal, but Shingo just did a wake up throw attempt and managed to hit him out of the backdash. Now it's Shingo's Kim there, goes for the guard cancel, tries his luck with the jump in, but wow, there was a weird guard cancel there, almost immediate guard cancel on the air move from on reaction to the air move of Shingo's Kim. And there we go, jumping B to get the maximum range out of her normals from far away. Jumping C instant overhead, not enough frame advantage to get a combo, but doesn't matter, you just want to get the pressure starting. Nice super long delay on the slide and shift, and then you get the full combo into Gato with lots of meter build. And there's jumping E, instant jumping B into AA into leader super, unfortunately drops it. Meaty projectile, tries to keep his distance now, jumping C for the added range, and Shingo just going Hail Mary because he has nothing to lose, and Giant takes it. This is quite the close set. There we go. Match starts. I like how, like, when one Kula does the quarter circle back punch to build some meter, the other one immediately realizes, oh yeah, I gotta do that too. Usually just don't. This has happened already several times in this set where one was doing it and the other one was like, oh yeah, let's build meter. Let's use that time. Thanks for reminding me. Shingo blocks the Shoryuken, goes for the standing E. That's a super optimized punish there. Standing E, if you block Kula's Shoryuken and hit her afterwards, even when she's standing, you will get a free counter hit. And in a mirror match, you can do standing E cancelled into race spin, usually the heavy kick version. That will give you massive. That will give you the heavy kick hit that can lead to the race spin loop, which is awesome. Builds meter and does nice damage. Anyway, Shingo won the mirror match. Nice guard cancel there on reaction to Gato's leader super. Now Gato's down 2 stocks and Kula 1, which is nice for Kula. Does the saving shift to Ryo, who unfortunately only has 1 stock. Oh no, misses the combo, but doesn't matter. Gato couldn't punish it. This is a wild struggle here. Lots of dropped combos and crazy situations where you have to react quickly. Now it's Ryo mirror match. Misses the cross-up attempt, immediate punish with standing C, but Shingo didn't really believe in it. Doesn't matter now, Shingo shifting to his Kula, gets the hard knockdown, does nothing and throws just to bait a wake up, and now goes for a fake safe jump that wouldn't even have hit, but it worked. Gato reversal there, super quick and super good. Reversal super. Nice reversal there from Gian. Goes for the crouching beam to the forward A. Didn't really believe he would hit there. I mean, why would he? It's true he would rather go for the pressure. Nice. Very nice combo there. He went for the instant low. Instant jumping D overhead, A into quarter circle back B. It's not a half circle back here in this KOF, it's a quarter circle back for whatever reason. Goes for the jumping D, not meaty at all. Shingo manages to escape with Kim. Kim now cornered again. Nice, very short delay and run up there on the crouching B from Ryo, which was the reason he got that hit in. Usually if you block a jump in KOF, you go low to block the low and then you immediately go up again to either throw or let's say block another overhead. And if you do these short dashes into lows, you will very often open up people. It's a very basic strategy. It's still kind of hard to time because people will fuzzy guard it for anyway, but it's something that you should learn. And there we have it. Shingo takes it. Very nice set overall. Very high game speed and very aggressive play. So yeah, that's what Gato can look like at the highest level. Another strong Gato player I would really like to show in a first to 10 would be Kyun Takuya. Just have to find a good set where he's playing against somebody that's interesting to watch and close. So I might just pull up some casual matches of him at some point. Right, so I would say let's jump into some tier list discussion. And I prepared something here, which is a tier list from Shingo. I picked this one because it has some characters ranked differently than what the usual rankings are, and I thought this would be an interesting opportunity to talk the strengths and weaknesses through of these characters. It starts right off the bat, the first controversial thing already on Shingo's list, and this is from December 2019, so it's a very new list, is he ranks Gato over Kula. Usually the consensus in Japan is that Kula is slightly stronger than Gato, but not by much. I guess it can be argued that Gato is stronger. It's really so close that I probably wouldn't put one character over the other anyway. But we can discuss their strengths a bit, and then you can form your own opinion. So what's there to say about Gato? He has everything. I touched upon this already. He has everything but a meterless reversal, and his hitbox is quite tall when he's crouched. Other than that, he can do anything you could imagine. He has some of the best supers in the game, notably his punch super with A only has 4 frames startup. So you can punish a lot of things. It has a great angle forwards. It has a gigantic hitbox. It has full invulnerability in its startup. It has good damage on the first hit, which is important because in KOF you want few hits in your combos and your supers because every hit builds exactly 1 point of super meter for your opponent, which is a very bad kind of way to handle it. And later KOFs do this better, but that's how the old KOFs do it. 1 hit is 1 point. And 1 stock is 112 points. So if you do a leader super with, let's say, Oswald, who has 60 hits, you will build 60 out of 112 meter. That's over half a bar for your opponent if you hit with that leader super. So what you really want is supers with few hits. And Gato's has few hits. And also his punch super only on the first hit does very good damage. So that's also an added plus, because if you get a trade, you still got that damage in. And that's the next point. His super does trade a lot, which means you can get follow-up combos. And the trade is almost always in your favor because you have this high damage on the first hit. And that's the next super, Gato has a good juggle anywhere. And that's his kick super, the light kick version. It hits on the second frame, if I'm not mistaken, which is tied among the fastest super in the game, not counting throws, with Adelheid's LDM, which is 2 frames, and Oswald's leader super, which is also 2 frames. However, Gato's upkick super doesn't have the same range as the other ones, obviously. That being said, you can easily, and that's one of the main strengths of Gato, add this kick super after almost any air-to-air hit or after a lot of combos, because it has juggle anywhere. So if you are in neutral play with Gato and you get a random stray jumping A, jumping B hit, or even a standing A, let's say, against an opponent who's airborne and they flip, you can easily just run up and do the kick super and get nice added damage there of like 10 to 15%. Not a lot of characters can do this. K-Dash has a Juggle Anywhere super, Juggle Anywhere LDM and a Juggle Anywhere special, but just for the sheer versatility, Gato's is way better. Another thing he can do off of this kick super, which is also very strong in the corner particularly, but there's a few mid-screen setups as well, he can cancel it into his LDM, and if your opponent is low enough to the ground, they will get placed on the ground as if they were standing, and then you can just easily, from an anti-air hit or from a juggle combo, LDM cancel into his LDM. And that's the next point. Gato probably has the best LDM in the game. It's a 3-hit Wrecker series. The first one is full invulnerability in the startup. I believe it is 6 frames of startup for the first one. And it does insane amounts of guard damage. So if you guard the thing with no guard damage before, the third hit will guard crush you. So the full LDM will guard crush you, after which Gatos usually do far C into quick shift and then some other character, and then you eat maybe like 35% or something. However, if you've blocked anything before that and you then guard the LDM, the second hit of the LDM will already guard crush you and the third hit will hit you for full damage, which is unscaled. So even if you're low HP, it will do an insane amount of damage. The downside, or actually the weakness of that LDM, is that it can't juggle. Unless in the scenario described before, where you can hit somebody with the kick super and then just LDM cancel into it. So what else does Gato have other than his ridiculous supers? Well, turns out that he also has ridiculous normals. He has some of the best normals in the game. Not only the hitboxes, particularly of his air normals, are very, very strong, but the frame advantage on his standing and crouching normals is absolutely obscene. His standing D gives so much advantage that he can link a crouching crouching light kick, and being crouching B, and his crouching B in turn gives so much frame advantage that you can link the A super. So it's a +5, I believe, which means you can link a +4 frame startup super. So you can easily do crouching B, hit confirm into super, which is one of his bread and butter combos. His standing C gives about +6 or +7, which means you can also link either directly the punch super or even a crouching B into a super. So basically he's a link machine. Whatever you can imagine he can do. I think Gato only has about 2 normals that are minus. I think that's standing E and far D, if I'm not mistaken. Everything else is either plus or +0. Also, he has a 3-frame normal. Not many characters have this. His standing A, close standing A, is 3 frames. And also his crouching A is 4 frames. Not too many characters have 4-frame normals. Almost nobody has a 3-frame normal. So he's just very privileged. Coming back to his air normals, jumping B is obscene. The normal is angled downwards, is incredibly fast. You can use it as an instant overhead. It can cross up. It's basically like Eiji's jumping B, but even better, since it also can lead to way more damage. Two more things to talk about, and then we're done with Gato. First thing is he also has incredible shift synergy. He can easily shift from his punch super, because it allows quick shifts, to all kinds of other characters and do all kinds of nasty combos. And also shifting to Gato is very strong because of his upkick loop in the corner. And this brings us to the last point for Gato. His special moves build way, way, way too much meter. I don't know what they were thinking back then, whether it was just an oversight or a bug, but his projectile, the ground projectile, builds about 10 meter out of 112. And if you do then an upkick, it also builds 10 meter. So that's 20 out of 112. That's a little less than 20% already of a full stock if you just do the ground projectile into the upkick, which takes basically no time. So if you do the full combo in the corner, you easily build over 1 stock. Basically the combo pays for itself if you end up with a super. It's really dumb. And all his other stuff also builds too much meter. So he's very versatile. It doesn't matter if you play him as a leader or not. Usually people play Gato as a leader because his leader super is so strong, but you can easily just play him in second position. I think the only position where he's not super strong but just good is if you play him first, because if you start out with no meter at all, you don't have that threat of that punch super, and you should have that threat, because if also the threat of the kick super to juggle anywhere. Punch super is mostly for mashing it into pressure or doing it as a wake up. People have to respect you more. And if you don't have any meter, they don't have to respect you if you wake up. And the kick super is more just for neutral play, so you can convert your combos. So That's it for Gato. And I can already tell you I'm going to talk a lot about the top tiers and not a lot about the weaker characters, because the weaker characters, I'm either not too familiar with them or there isn't just too much to talk about. Good. Let's talk a bit about Kula then and see how she compares to Gato. So, I talked about her a lot before because she's basically part of every match video we've seen so far. But she is the jack of all trades. She has everything you could ask for. She has strong reversal options. She has great normals. She has great supers. She has great damage. She has the best shift synergy in the game. Yeah, anything you could ask for. So let's start with her special moves, okay, and her reversal options. So her most famous reversal obviously is Ray Spin, that's her Tatsumaki, and the light kick version, as I mentioned before already, has 6 frames of invulnerability. It has about 12 frames of startup if I recall correctly, so the invulnerability doesn't last into the active frames, which means you will get hit sometimes if you use it, hit out of the move, but in general you can use it both while you are pressuring your opponent, because it's only like -3 I think, -3 or -4, and also it has follow-up options which make it more safe, and you can also use it on your wake up if you wake up, or just to mash it into your opponent's strings, because if you hit confirm you can cancel it into her slide follow-up, and that slide follow-up gives one of the best launches in the game, a very high and nice launch that allows full juggle, and if you shift to anybody else you can do all kinds of nasty stuff. If you shift to Gato, you can do the corner upkick loop. If you shift to Oswald mid-screen, you can convert into an ace. Basically, it's just the perfect setup for any kind of combo. That alone is one of her strong points. Then add to that another reversal, which is a Shoryuken, which hits on the 3rd frame. Absolutely ridiculous. It's way too fast, and it does hard knockdown. The only downside is it is vulnerable on the legs. So basically, when you wake up, there is like a Gato mind game for your opponent. Is Kula gonna do Ray Spin and be invulnerable and in the air for a couple of frames, or is she gonna do her reversal Shoryuken and I can hit her on the legs? Because if you try to beat her reversal Shoryuken and you do a low hit, she will just Ray Spin over you. It's kind of silly. There are some options to deal with both of these things. Some normals have a nice hitbox that reaches low enough into the ground to beat out both of these options of Kula. For example, K-Dash Crouching C. If you do it slightly delayed, it will beat both her Ray Spin and her Shoryuken. It will actually trade with her Ray Spin, and then you can go into Juggle Anywhere combos. Her supers aren't used as reversals. One could argue, if you just look at it superficially, that her supers aren't great, since you mostly use her. She only really has one super in like 3 variations, and that's the Ice Pillars. The A version, the C version, and the EX version. The A version is a bit quicker than the C version. C version has more invulnerability, but it's very slow and can be rolled on reaction in the Super Freeze, so it's not that great really. However, she also has the EX version, and the EX, she's the only character in the game to have a 2-stock super. Nobody else has this unless you play them as a leader, but for some reason they thought it would be nice and fair to give Kula an EX super, and bad idea there. If she hits you with her bread and butter combo, that's any combo into Ray Spin, into her slide, mid-screen, and it's a back turn combo, she can just add the EX super and all hits will hit, and it does obscene damage. Also, if she hits you in neutral with a jumping E on counter hit, she can confirm into EX super because it's quick enough and get like 40% damage off of these 2 hits. Sorry, of these 2 stocks. So yeah, she has very good meter burn options as well. In addition to that, one special move I haven't talked about, her breath. You've seen it if you've just seen the first to 10, Gian versus Shingo. One of the strongest special moves in the game probably, her projectile breath. The A version is quick and launches the opponent on hit. The C version is slow and staggers the opponent on hit. The stagger gives you enough frame advantage to do a jump in even. So you get a full combo off of the C breath. And both of these breaths give very nice, very strong frame advantage. So her bread and butter pressure in the corner basically is crouching B, and then you cancel into the A breath or the C breath, and your opponent has to guess. If they guess wrong, they eat a full combo. What they have to do is, if you do crouch B, and then A breath, is to roll out at the last moment, which is incredibly hard because the gap is very small, and you will very often get an accidental guard cancel roll if you try to roll against that. And if Kula does crouching B, C breath, the slow breath, you have to jump out after the crouching Bs, and then if you have a good jump arc and good normals, you can punish her with, let's say, jumping C into a combo. But not everybody can do that. It's quite annoying. It's basically like a Shoto fireball trap from Super Turbo that you have to deal with there. Just a little worse, even, I would say. Right. However, if you then block crouching B, and you just think, oh right, cool, I'm gonna roll, she's gonna do the A breath, and she did the C breath, you're gonna roll right into the breath. It's horrible. Her corner pressure is horrible to deal with. It's one of the reasons she's so strong. Also, what adds to that corner pressure is her jumping C. It's probably the most famous normal in the game. It reaches right into the ground. It's super fast. It's very hard to block on reaction. And since her standing C, another normal that's probably one of the best in the game, only has 4-frame startup, she can easily combo into a standing C, even if she does the jumping C very high in the air. And this combination is paired with her very nice juggle potential, her hard knockdown combos, her nice meter building, her pressure, just makes her such a strong character. Something that's interesting is how to rate the Kula versus Gato matchup. And honestly, I have no idea. I can't really tell you who has the upper hand in that matchup. I could probably see Kula having the upper hand here, because she can keep Gato at a distance where he can't really use his normals. And I could imagine Gato having problems getting in on Kula because of her strong Shoryuken that can dominate neutral very easily. And I could also see Racepin being very strong in that matchup against the typical Gato normal pressure. In fact, I've seen a tweet about 2 days ago from a KOF11 bot. That's a KOF bot that periodically shares tech on Twitter and all kinds of stuff. It's very useful. You should totally follow it. That Kula can counter Gato sweep with Racepin, and Racepin will beat Gato sweep cleanly. I haven't talked about Gato sweep. Maybe I should. For some reason, they thought it was a good idea to give Gato a sweep that gives frame advantage. So yeah, there you go. Even if you block it, he's at least +3 or +4. Yeah. Good. So that's it for S tier. Again, who's stronger of the two? I can't really say. Shingo thinks Gato is stronger, obviously, but Shingo doesn't play Gato, so I guess he's a bit biased. Personally, I really have no opinion on that. I hate playing against Gato, but if you play against Kula, it's just the same hell, just a different flavor. Good. So then Shingo has put K- and Ryo on A+. I think this is not controversial at all. I think most people by now agree that K- and Ryo belong up there. I talked about them a lot already in my other videos. K- is just a highly flexible character that can do a lot. He has so many options due to his many tricky special moves and conversions that he has. You should absolutely play him as a leader, and the same is true for Ryo. I think that justifies them being at A+. Otherwise, they're still strong, but probably not S tier material. So let's talk about K- first. I mean, there's a lot to say. I think let's first talk about his leader super. His leader super is the one where he throws his sunglasses, and when the sunglass hit connects, he does a follow-up attack. And the cool thing is the sunglasses have juggle anywhere property. So if you have K- leader and you are sitting on 2 stocks and you get an air-to-air hit, or let's say jumping B, you hit them, they flip, you land, you can add that LDM and deal like 40% damage, have hard knockdown, and they're probably cornered. So this is awesome. You can do the same if you, let's say, do a standing A, they try doing a small jump against you, they flip, and then on reaction you can do an LDM. You can also do this off of shift combos. Let's say you have a character that can shift a special move, but for some reason it doesn't allow juggle. Well, doesn't matter, just shift to K- and you can add your LDM. So very nice flexibility there, very strong in neutral. There is a downside, however, and that downside is it's incredibly hard to hit with that LDM. Getting the sunglass hit is quite easy, but the follow-up tends to whiff a lot. And if it whiffs, you will eat a full punish. So that's one of the many reasons why K-Dash is very hard to play. You have to make split-second decisions depending on the spacing and the hit of your opponent, how to time your sunglasses. And you also have to sometimes factor into the account how far away from the corner you are. So he has more nice options in neutral, one of them being his Eintrigger, that's his projectile, the short flame burst, which has a couple of follow-ups that you might not know if you only know K-Dash from, let's say, KOF13 and 14. One of them is he can do a slide off of the projectile, which is a low hit. He also has that slide if you just do quarter circle back kick, quarter circle back kick. Everybody knows that if you're a K-Dash player, but you can also do that slide instantly off of the projectile. And then it will have different frame advantage. It will actually give you either +0 or +1 depending on your spacing, roughly. Which is a good situation for K-Dash. So you can use this in pressure to make your opponent do something, and then if you hit with the slide, you can react and add a super for very nice damage. But what you can also do in neutral is you just do Eintriggers in neutral, cancel into the slide, and if your opponent jumped into your Eintrigger, the Eintrigger allows a juggle. So your Eintrigger, they jump into your Eintrigger and you did a slide, you can link a super after the slide. So that's a strong neutral option there. I can recommend watching Keitani match videos or Urusha match videos. They use this a lot. Particularly Keitani loves this tech. He does this all the time. Other things that make K-Dash strong are, for example, his jumping E. His jumping E is one of the best air normals in the game. It's just a gigantic square-shaped hitbox around his foot, and you can also cross up with it. Basically, it's his poke of choice. You don't really poke on the ground with K-Dash, you just poke in the air. You do small jump or super jump, jumping E. They have to block it, and then you can start your pressure. Jump E can also cross up. Did I just say that? I guess I just said that. And one very important special move to highlight with K-Dash that I haven't talked about before is this minute spike. Minute spike is just a quarter circle back kick. That's this dash kick is doing. The air version of this move has juggle anywhere. So in neutral, whenever you get these stray hits I talked about before with LDM, let's say jumping B, standing A, whatever, or let's say you get a counter hit jumping E, what you do then is you can add instant jumping minute spike, and that will combo. And if you play him as leader, you might even add an LDM after that. So that's very strong, and that's bread and butter stuff for K-Dash in neutral. He also has a nice and quick anti-air super, which is 2x quarter circle forward light kick. You never use the heavy kick version, you just use the light kick version. Use the light kick version. It's called Heaven's Drive. There's one downside to it, and that is if they jump at you from an angle where they are right above you, or if you do the super too early and they are very high up in the air, it will not fully connect. That's in general, I would say, one of the weaknesses of K-Dash. If you are cornered, or if your opponent jumps at angles at you that are very high and they either cross you up or land really high on top of you, you don't have too many options. You do have A Shoryuken. A Shoryuken has the best upwards angle from all its options. There's also C Shoryuken, which has very high invulnerability, but is horrible as anti-air because it's angled forwards and has multi-hits. And then there's the kick super, which I just talked about, which also whiffs. So that leaves A Shoryuken, but A Shoryuken has no invulnerability. It's just really quick and only has invulnerability on the legs. And it also is slightly angled forward, so sometimes when you use it as an anti-air, they will just cross you up anyway. So I would say that's definitely one of the weaknesses of K-Dash, normal jumps. Normal jumps particularly that cross you up or when you are corner pinned. And I think that's also, in general, escaping out of pressure is not easy with K-Dash at all. He has a teleport that has some invulnerability, but not in the startup, only midway through. So that will also not really help you to escape. I guess one more thing to talk about is his heat drive, a famous super where he just dashes forward. It's a single hit super. I talked about it before. Single hit supers are great. They build little meter for your opponent. They in general have better scaling, and on counter hit, since only the first hit from a counter hit will get added damage, on counter hit they deal way more damage too. And his heat drive is perfect for that. His heat drive does not have full invulnerability. It's only invulnerable on the legs. However, it's quick enough that you can punish lots of stuff on guard and even on with full screen with him. So that's also in high level K-Dash play. You just have to know what kind of stuff you can punish with heat drive. Famous example would be Vapor Cannon from Maxima can be punished on block with heat drive. An interesting thing to note is that the A version of heat drive in theory is 1 frame faster than the C version of heat drive. However, the C version of heat drive travels way faster than the A version, so in many situations you have to use the C version to punish, not the A version. So that's something you have to keep in mind. So to sum up what I just said about K-Dash, his game plan, he has strong options in neutral, and you really have to maximize his neutral play. I think that's his strength. That also means he's very hard to play, and to justify him being A+ or even S would mean to play him perfectly. Good, so let's talk about Ryo then. I placed him on my tier list that I did a couple of weeks ago. On my fun tier list, I would say. I placed him before K-Dash. It's arguable who's better. I guess they're close. It really doesn't matter. I would probably put them on the same spot. Ryo is up there because of his LDM. Period. His LDM is one of the best in the game. It's that single hit Ijigeki where he immediately stuns an opponent, and stunning a character in a game, in a team-based game, where that could mean losing a character is just so strong. In general, in KOF, the stun meta is present, and it's important to know how can I stun my opponent. Can my team stun my opponent? How much max stun does my opponent have? For example, Maxima has more than others, so does Guy. Some people have less stun. Adelheid is the lowest stun in the game. It's incredibly important to be aware of that, because losing a character means a lot in team-based games. You know this if you've played Marvel vs. Capcom. Even more so here, because if you only have one character left, there's no more saving shift, there are no more stun combos open to you, so you have to have at least always 2 characters. Losing 1 character is manageable, losing 2 is very bad. Right, so again, Ryo, he's up there because of his leader super that I just described. Easy stun, you can just shift to him from any launcher, and usually there's enough time to juggle into his stun LDM. That's why you play him. And if you just saw the Giant vs. Shingo, that is living proof that even without LDM, Ryo is a great character. Giant played him not as a leader, but just as a regular character, because, and I talked about this before, especially on Twitter, Ryo's normals are just so great. He's a big bully. His standing D is just a wild roundhouse anti-air. His standing B is a super quick, very well angled poke. Jumping D is a very, very strong jump in. Jumping E is super strong air to air. And all these options make him a strong character. In KOF 11, I would say having good normals and especially good jump arcs, and Ryo's small jump is nice and small and short, that makes you strong. It makes you a better character. Other than that, I wouldn't say he has above average shift synergy. I mean, all he can do is jumping D, standing C, forward A, and then shift. There's characters that can do this way better. Also, shifting to Ryo isn't too great. There isn't much you can do with juggles other than the dandy step into Ranbu if you don't play him as leader. But despite these things, he is still up there as one of the strongest characters because of his LDM. So Shingo put Oswald in his own tier next. Also something I would probably not argue. I would say that Oswald's slightly better than Kim, definitely better than Duck King and Ralf. Oswald's strength is his ace, I would say, right off the bat. His ace is the number one thing. That's a special move he can do that usually requires 1 frame timing. If you know Enja from Samurai Showdown, you know this. It's the wall bounce move where you then have to do a follow-up and hit your opponent after the wall bounce from below. It should be a 1 frame timing, and if you hit it, you get massive damage. However, in KOF 11 there are setups for this ace that are guaranteed. And you can also shift to Oswald from many situations and get guaranteed aces, and that's an easy. Those are easy 60 to 70% combos with no meter spent. That's one of the reasons he is so strong. There's many other reasons, and the other reasons are his normals. His jumping C and his nice small jump arc make it so that he can put up incredible pressure. The jumping C is basically like Kula's jumping C. It reaches right into the ground, it's very fast, but it has the added bonus that it can cross up, which Kula's jumping C can't really do. And Oswald can do these run-ups when you wake up and just do a small jump C, and you block low because you thought he was going to do jump B, and then you eat a small jump, cross up, jump C. And that brings us to the next strength of Oswald. He has these corner combos, particularly incoming. Let's say your character is down, you play against Oswald, and then Oswald crosses you up with jumping C. He has these corner combos where he crosses you up, does a full wall bounce combo, and then re-corners you, and then he can shift to another character, or even give you a knockdown for good damage, and then you have to block a cross-up combo because you have a back-turned knockdown in the corner. Also, Oswald has incredible Okizeme in the corner because of his cards. He can throw up these cards that give so much advantage on hit or guard that he can do instant overheads, then the card hits, and then he can do a full combo. So it's like whenever you get a hard knockdown in the corner, you have to block a 50-50 against Oswald. It's either a low hit or an instant overhead. I would say these things are what make him a strong character. Now, his disadvantages are glaring, I would say. He only has a counter as a non-meter reversal, and that counter isn't great. It can easily be reacted to, unless your opponent does something telegraphed and doesn't bother to respect the counter, then you can punish some things. And also, Oswald has problems breaking out of pressure. He really doesn't have any confirms from a bit further away. The only thing he can do is sweep, then cancel into forward A, and that will lead to a full combo. But other than that, if you are, let's say, in sweep distance and Gato is bullying you, there's nothing you can really convert to. Crouching B only leads to crouching A, which only really leads to down forward A from that distance, and then you could maybe do like cancel it into a super, but it's just a meter waste. It pushes your opponent back. He can quick roll it. It's no hard knockdown, and that's wishful thinking hitting with that, because you have to have a certain distance for the down forward A then even to connect. It's hard to get out of pressure with Oswald, so you have to do a guard cancel roll, or maybe a guard cancel, or do a YOLO jump out jumping A, these kinds of things. And that's why he has bad matchups against the top tiers, particularly against Gato. It's a horrible matchup. I asked Yurasha about the Oswald versus Kula matchup because he plays it so perfectly with Oswald against Kula, and despite him being so strong in that matchup, he considers it a bad matchup for Oswald because Kula's pressure is so strong, and it's so hard to get out of pressure with Oswald. So I would say those are his weaknesses. Next up, Shingo has Kim in A-. Kim, Duck King, and Ralf. All three are very strong characters. Completely agree with their high placement. I will talk later a bit about which character I would personally place differently, but caveat, who am I to know better than Shingo, right? Anyway, Kim is like a mini Gato in a way. His normals are incredibly strong, very fast, a lot of frame advantage. He does have a juggle anywhere option with forward A. You don't use it as freely as Gato off of everything. You use it after particular combos, but it's still very good to have because it leads into a super and maybe even a shift combo. What you do is, let's say you do an anti-air super with Kim, which you can combo into. That's his launcher super, this up kick. Then you do a jumping D, and that shouldn't allow any combos because after that your opponent flips, but then you do the forward A, which is juggle anywhere, and cancel that into the air super, and that's like 60% damage already if you do these two supers in one combo. However, you can also then shift the second super to somebody else and then continue the combo for, let's say, stun or even more damage. What else is there to say about Kim, right? He has great air-to-air with jumping B, he has great cross-ups with jumping A, and I think it's jumping C if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, I keep confusing his air normals because they're all kicks and all look the same, other than jumping A. No, it's jumping C. Yeah, his jumping C is also a good cross-up. He has a Rekka series that allows him to have good shift potential against standing opponents, and he has the Stomp. And the Stomp can hit on the ground, so even after a full combo, Kim can add the Stomp, and the Storm does insane amounts of stun. So Kim also can do very good stun damage. Other than that, what are his weaknesses? I don't know, honestly. He's a well-rounded character. Even his reversal, his charge down up, is nice because it can beat some cross-ups, because you don't have to really select into which direction you want to input your reversal. I would say everything he does, I guess the top tiers do even better, but other than that, I think he's a very strong character. On many tier lists, he's A+, right under S tier, so yeah, good choice there. And next up we have Duck King, which is a character I play, so I can talk a lot about him. So first thing to say about Duck King is that he is an offensive character and a character that can exert incredible amounts of pressure. The way to play him is basically jumping D, crouching A, jumping D, crouching A, crouching A, crouching A, jumping D. That's how you play him. His jumping D is a very strong jump in with a great hitbox, leads to a full combo. His crouching A only has 4 frame startup and is like +5 on hit or on guard, which leads to pressure that's hell. The only character, I guess, that has comparable pressure only with normals is Gato. Basically, you can think of Duck King as a fairer version of Gato in a way, with way less flexibility. Another thing that makes Duck King so strong is he can easily hit confirm his crouching A, because crouching A cancels into a chain combo. He's one of the few characters in the game who has a chain combo, and he has a very long one. He can chain from crouching A into a heavy normal, which is forward C, and then either finish it with a special move or a super or even a shift. So that makes him a great character in offense. He also has some other interesting things, particularly his crouching dash. If you dash and then go into down forward with Duck King, he does a special kind of dash that has full invulnerability. It can only be hit by throws, and it also has no recovery, so you cannot really punish it, other than throw it or do a small jump, so he has to block a meaty attack on reaction or something like that. That's, in many matchups, a free way to get in. He also has a command throw super, which is tricky, can be used in various situations. For example, after the low dash I just described, or in some other situations. So he's a tricky offensive-based character, I would say. And that leads us to his weakness. He has 2 weaknesses, actually. His first weakness is he has no reversals, none. The only one he can do is the, let's say, wake up reversal super, the grab super, but you're not going to hit anyone with that. I mean, most people will just give you a meaty jump in, and then your reversal super will not help. So that's weakness number 1. His defense is terrible. He can't do anything except mash A. You block a Kula, you block a Gato. You also have a very big hitbox with Duck King, so you're very easy to instant overhead and easy to hit. The only way to escape is to guard cancel roll or mash standing A, mash crouching A, and then hope you can get a jumping D in to start your pressure. So that's his first weakness. The second weakness is he has no juggles. He's horrible at doing juggles and horrible at if you shift to him, he can't really do anything. That's why he's, I would almost say, a strictly worse Gato, but he's a lot of fun to play. Yeah. Despite all of these weaknesses, which might sound glaring, his offense is so strong that he's easily A- anyway. I mean, he's easily a strong character. Next up is Ralf. Ralf, how would I describe him? He's a bully, a gorilla, I guess that's the right way to describe him. He's more of a slow character. He looks a bit clumsy when you look at match videos of him, particularly neutral. You see him move back and forth a lot. He has these slow normals, but when he hits you, it hurts. It hurts a lot. He has the famous unblockable, which is an uppercut. If you just do it like that, it's Shoryuken and punch. It's a very slow uppercut that is unblockable. You rarely see that used. However, if you cancel into it, it becomes an instant uppercut, and that is blockable. But it has a gigantic hitbox and does insane damage, and you can also juggle after it. So what Ralphs then do is, since you want the cancel version, you empty cancel into it from standing E or crouching C or even crouching A, and that is what you use in neutral. And if you clip someone with that uppercut, they eat a lot of damage, particularly in counter hit, and then he has a special move in the air, which is like a dive bomb that you can then use to OTG them with it. That's his bread and butter neutral play. You use far C, which is his back fist, has very nice range. You use standing E, Kara cancelled into the upper, and crouching C. Another thing is that if the standing E hits on counter hit, you can combo after standing E on counter hit, which means if you cancelled it into the uppercut, it's a 2-hit combo, which is standing E, uppercut, and then you add the OTG, that's 30% damage. It's absolutely ridiculous for 3 hits. So that's one of the reasons he's strong. The other one is he can also hit confirm into the uppercut off of crouching C. You can easily do the crouching C and then confirm into the uppercut. And he also has generally nice normals when he's up close, and a command grab, which is also very useful. Up close, your game plan usually is to pressure them with standing B, which gives frame advantage, crouching A, and then you do a late sweep because they stand up and let's say are afraid of the command grab. And otherwise you try to get a jumping C into standing C into command grab combo, or even an uppercut combo. What you can do with him is shift to somebody because the uppercut launches and then do a full juggle combo, much like Kula, or you can even shift to Ryo and then do a Kara cancel combo to uppercut. His weaknesses are, again, he has no reversals, just the armor command grab, which is horrible. It can easily be reacted to. And his supers suck. You rarely see anybody use his supers. You don't play him for his supers. So Ralf. I'm talking about Ralf. Ralf has to be used as a first character. Then he's the strongest. You don't need meter with him. You build meter with him. I would say. Another thing is the uppercut is relatively safe on block. It's very hard to punish. So I would say these things alone make him a strong character. It's just the sheer damage off of his neutral options. His pressure isn't great, his defense isn't great, but he excels at neutral. Next up, B+, and now it's getting interesting. We are entering the territory of more controversial picks here. Leader of B+, according to Shingo, is Jazu. What's there to say about Jazu? Well, Jazu is a zoning character. All of his special moves, except for 3, and he has a lot of them, are projectiles. He has a machine gun shot that has 3 angles, angled forward, upward, and 45-degree angles. Has 3 hits. If the first one clashes with the projectile, the rest will usually hit. He has a normal projectile fireball with a lot of recovery that is very quick. He has an ice spike that drops from the ceiling and can be used as a juggle and also does hard knockdown. Note, it's not an overhead. He has a typhoon, a tiny little typhoon he can fire that will launch your opponent and enables you to do juggles. Then he has a flash kick, which has no invulnerability, I think, except on the legs, but is airborne on the first frame. And he has a move where he does a blanker ball that you can also do off of a wall. In addition to that, he has chain combos. These chain combos aren't really used for pressure, you only use them for combos. And then he has his famous jumping E and standing E. Jumping E is a gigantic swing with his claw that covers a lot of ground in the air. It's an incredible jump in. I would compare it to K-Dash's jumping E, but even bigger and cannot cross up. And standing E is like an all-purpose, very quick normal attack in neutral that also gives frame advantage on block. You use standing E to push your opponent back. You use jumping E to do the same basically, or to preemptively keep your opponent from jumping at you, and then you want to keep them away. The other way you can attack your opponent with Jazu is to, if you are close, try to open him up with and hit confirm with the chain combo, and then confirm into the blanker ball or even into his supers. He has a very weird super. That's the one where he's mashing with his fists or his legs. It's basically the same super, just looking differently. They just took it from Kizuna Encounter. It has a lot of startup invulnerability, but it's very slow. And what's nice is, again, it pushes your opponent out on guard and does nice chip damage. So Jazu is annoying because of that. He just keeps you away so well with his options. And if you play him as leader, he has this Flame Pillar leader super, which has no invulnerability, but if you are stupid enough to jump into it, you eat a lot of damage. So these are the strengths of Jazu. Keep away, nice leader super, very nice chip damage. What are his weaknesses? Well, horrible reversals, incredibly low stun. Only Adel has lower stun in the game. And incredibly big hitbox. He's very tall when crouched, and he's the fattest character horizontally, I think. Only tied with a couple of the console characters, I think Mr. Big and maybe Maxima. So his stun is in fact so bad that it's very easy to stun him if you have one shift and two characters, and you, let's say, hit a jump in and have do your bread and butter combo, shift to another character, do your bread and butter combo. That's very often enough to stun Jazu. So if you play him, you have to be on point with your defense, and that keeps him from being even higher. If he had higher stun, he would be up there in A tier, I would say, just because he's so annoying to play against. Well, according to Shingo's list, if he rates him B+, he would have to be higher, at least one tier than if he had higher stun. I would personally rate Jazu a little lower than on this list, which brings us to the next character, which I would personally rate higher than Jazu, and that is Adelheid. Adelheid is it's nice that he's next to Jazu because they are easy to compare. Adelheid also has great keep away. Well, does he have great keep away? No. Actually, no, he doesn't. He has a projectile, which is annoying, and you don't want to jump at Adelheid. I guess if you want to, you could qualify that as having good keep away, because he has incredible anti-air options. The first one is his kick super, which is called Kreis, which is German for whatever reason. His other special moves names are a weird mix of Dutch and German, I think, which don't make much sense. But that one does make sense. It just means circle. And that's a very quick one-hit anti-air super. I talked about one-hit supers before. Great on counter hit, nice damage, doesn't build meter for your opponent. So this is already great. And then if you play him as leader, which you absolutely should in my opinion, he has one of the best leader supers in the game, which is the wall press nightmare from Rugal. He's the son of Rugal, so obviously he has that. Basically, it's a super where he rushes forward and does a single hit super for massive damage, and it only has 2 frame startup. It also has full invulnerability, and there is something interesting about the super. You can input it in 2 different ways. One is quarter circle forward, quarter circle back in E, and the other is quarter circle back, quarter circle forward in E. And there's a difference. If you do the one that starts with quarter circle forward, you have full invulnerability. If you use the other one, you don't. So now you might be wondering, why would I ever do the version with no invulnerability? Well, the reason is, if you do the one with quarter circle forward, his sister will come in and do a little taunt. And while she does that taunt, you cannot use the leader super again until she's gone. And that downside is so minuscule and uninteresting that you should always do it, the quarter circle forward one, because you really don't care about the downtime. It will almost never happen that you want to do the LDM back to back. So keep that in mind. Use the version with quarter circle forward, it has more vulnerability. Another thing where Adel excels at is stun. He can deal insane amounts of stun with his combos, which is something that is comparable to Maxima. Adel and Maxima and maybe K-Dash maybe Kim have the highest stun potential in the game, I would say. Stun that they can inflict, not that they can take. What you would do is you play a team that, let's say, has a point character that has nice stun, and then you play Adelheid leader, and when your opponent has been hit already, and then you hit him with a bread and butter combo, you shift to Adel, do jumping D, very slight, walk forward, crouching B, forward B, into quarter circle forward D. That's a weird special move I will talk about in a minute. And then you probably have stunned the character already. And what's cool is that Adel has a launcher normal, which is down forward A. So let's say you stun your opponent and they have saving shift. Well, that won't help them because you can immediately launch them on the first hit. Then they can saving shift. So you launch them with down forward A. And then you either combo into LDM or just as Kreis super, and that's probably a dead character. So that's one of his strengths. Coming back to his projectile, it's the regular Repukian that Rugal also has. However, if you are close and you cancel into the projectile, it has different properties and it turns into a physical move. It's a very weird rule that also leads to some bugs actually. If you cancel from, if you try to super cancel from particular normals with Adelheid, I think one of them is crouching A, if I'm not mistaken. I have it down in the wiki, I can't fully recall it. So if you try to cancel from specific normals into supers with Adelheid, it will not work. And it's related to the fact which normals change when cancelled into his projectile. There's an overlap there. So if the normal doesn't cancel, it doesn't turn into the physical version, if you cancel it, you can also not super cancel it. It's super weird and it's probably a bug. That's what you get for having a boss unlock character that has probably been tested less. Also, Adelheid has 3 normals which have the same animations, coincidentally. That's crouching C, standing E, and down forward A. They all have the same animations, but they all have different properties and all have different hitboxes. So what are the weaknesses of Adelheid? Well, there's 2. First of all, if you don't have meter, you have no reversal, and you have Adelheid is horrible anti-airs without meter. Basically, there's really nothing he can do other than standing A, which is really bad, and trying to jump away and, let's say, doing an instant jumping B to anti-air them preventively. That's the only 2 options you have. And then his second weakness, and that's a big one, is he has the lowest stun in the game. He's super easy to stun. Most teams can 2 characters stun him with only 1 quick shift. So you have to be very, very careful when you shift in your leader Adel, when you want him into play. Ideally, you only want to shift him in the scenario I described before, where you stun somebody and they cannot saving shift, or you want to have him last when your opponent doesn't have any characters left and they cannot stun you anyway. Let's say they only have 1 character left. Despite these glaring weaknesses, he's a strong character. Some tier lists have him even higher than B+. So next up, we have Eiji on Shingo's list. Eiji, undisputably a strong character. Eiji can be compared in a way to Duck King. I think they share a certain game plan, and that game plan is both of them don't have long range normals or anything. Both of them want to get close. They want to get as close as possible to the opponent and then stick to them as long as they can and annoy them and deal as much damage to them as they can, guard damage or regular damage. Eiji shares a 4-frame crouching A with Duck King, very fast and incredible amount of frame advantage. Basically, frame advantage in KOF11 works really simple. From our testing, they didn't handcraft any numbers of frame advantage and said, oh, let's give this character +5 on his A and let's give this character +3. The way frame advantage works in KOF11 is that it's governed by the recovery of the attack. If the attack has only very little recovery, it gives a lot of frame advantage. It is as simple as that. It's the same for Gato, it's the same for Duck King, same for Eiji, same for everyone we tested so far. And his crouching A has almost no recovery, so he gives like +6 or something. His other important tool, that's his tool number 1. Tool number 2 is jumping B. Jumping B is a 45-degree angled downwards kick, incredibly fast, can cross up, hits way into the ground, so it cannot be low profiled. And if you pair the crouching A with the jumping B, then you can exert incredible amounts of pressure. Something I haven't talked about is comparing jumping light attacks and jumping heavy attacks. This is a good point now to do this. Together with Rock, the Japanese player, I looked at hit stun and frame advantage. Particularly, Rock found out that jumping light attacks have the exact same amount of hit stun than jumping heavy attacks. So it doesn't matter whether you attack with jumping heavy or jumping light, the frame advantage is the same. Which means that if you hit somebody with Eiji's jumping B very high, it gives the same frame advantage as Kula's jumping C very high. It's normed, it's the same. That's why he can hit with jumping B very high and still convert into crouching A. It's very painful to deal with when playing against Eiji because the jumping B is so high, you can barely block it on reaction. And if he crosses you up, you can also do a full combo into knockdown. And that leads us to the next thing. He has more pressure options than just crouching A and jumping B. He has the infamous reflector special move. That special move is intended to reflect projectiles, but that's absolutely not how you use it. How you use it is you use it cancelled after crouching A or his sweep. He can also cancel his sweep, and his sweep has 2 hits. The first one is the same move as crouching B. Basically, imagine his sweep starting with crouching B and then turning into a sweep. Has the same hitbox, same frame data. So it's very quick, can be cancelled, and can lead to combos. And what you do is you cancel the sweep or the crouching A into his reflector, and the reflector has no pushback. So your opponent will stay close to you, and in addition to that, it gives like +3 or +4 on block, which means it stays your turn. In the corner, this can lead to almost infinite pressure. It's very annoying to play against Eiji if you have no reversals. What you have to do is to intentionally get hit by doing a backdash. You do a backdash in the corner because you're airborne on the first frame. Reflector hits you and you flip. And you either do the backdash after the reflector, which means, let's say Eiji does crouching A, you get hit by the crouching A where you do the backdash, and then you can act before the reflector comes out, or you backdash and get hit by the reflector, which lets you do a safety roll. Ideally, you want to get hit by the crouching A, not by the reflector. What you can also do is obviously guard cancel, but yeah, that's the strength. That's the strength of Eiji, his pressure. Another nice tool in neutral he has is his projectile super. He can easily do it on reaction to punish jumps and also to punish projectiles, since it eats small projectiles. That's KOF bread and butter tech, basically. Stuff that even worked in 98 with all characters that had projectile supers. So that's something very nice to keep in mind. He also has a nice projectile Kikoho, quarter circle forward punch. It's basically like a spark out of his hand. It's slightly disadvantages, I think like -1, which is really neglectable. And it can be punished by jumps, so you have to be careful. But if you space it correctly and your opponent small jumped into it and maybe did an attack, you will get a counter hit. And on counter hit, it does wall bounce, which gives you a free combo into, let's say, projectile super or a jump attack, and then you reset them. Another nice neutral tool that Eiji has are his teleports. The light kick teleport has upper body invulnerability. The heavy kick teleport has lower body invulnerability. You can actually do them on wake up, on reaction to jumps. If you see your opponent jump, you can just teleport out. It's a bit risky, but it can work. What you also can do is, if, let's say you play against Gato, Gato does his quarter circle forward punch super, you can input the teleport in the super freeze, go through his super, and then punish him with a full combo. So these are Eiji's options. What are his disadvantages? Well, first of all, he has horrible range on his normals, both on the ground and in the air. You don't have a particularly good normal to air. He has almost nothing there. Basically, you have to preventive anti-air them with, let's say, a very early jumping E. That's your best option, because even though jumping E's hitbox isn't great, at least if you get a trade, then you've done nice damage to them, and they get knocked down. So that's why you use jumping E. But if you look at all of his other normals, there isn't really any air-to-air normal. They are all angled downwards. That's his first disadvantage. Same for his standing normals. He has really bad range on them. His far C is the one that has the most range, but it's very slow. The next downside, he has no reversal options other than the teleports I mentioned. And the third one, and that's a big one, a big downside, he has horrible shift synergy. He's not a character that is intended to do cool and long shift combos. He doesn't really have any cool juggles. He only really can do the quarter circle back punch move and shift that one. And if you started your combo with Eiji, that's horrible stun damage and in general really bad damage when you do that shift. So you kind of want to avoid that. So the way to play him is to play him as a point character. Play Eiji first. That's how you maximize him. Despite all these disadvantages, I think he's a strong character. Man, this is gonna take hours, I just realized. We're not even halfway through. But in general, it's easier to talk a lot about the strong characters. It gets a bit less interesting with the weaker characters because there's just less to say. So we'll see how long I can keep going before I faint. So, next up is Shingo's B tier. He put a lot of characters in there clustered together. It's getting more and more interesting here because some of these characters on many lists are A, some are weaker. I'm gonna point out for fun already which characters are usually stronger or weaker. First one, Guy and Maxima are usually considered to be stronger than this. They are not grouped in usually with characters like Vanessa or Ash even. Ash is the next one. Ash is usually considered to be a little weaker. He has really bad combo options and bad shift synergy. He also doesn't have great defense despite his reversal flash kick. Kyo is very often considered to be stronger, and Silber is very often considered to be weaker. But there's a reason why he's there. I'll talk about it later. Right, so let's start with Guy. Guy is a very tricky character, and probably also a tricky character to rate. He lives off of his sway. He has a sway where he just dodges in place and is completely invulnerable. You cannot punish the sway unless you throw him. You can do the sway even as a reversal. He has several follow-ups. he can do to the sway. One of them is a grab, which is very quick and deals obscene amounts of damage. It's single hit. It deals like, I don't know, 15% damage, about 15 to 20%. It's, in any case, it's too much, and you will get angry when you play against him and he just, let's say, cancels into sway on offense and throws you, or on defense and you fail to throw him. And he also, off of the sway, has an uppercut, which is just a quick, strong attack that he can do. Doesn't have any vulnerability, but it's quick enough to, let's say, anti-air people with it, or just do it if your opponent wasn't quick enough to react to this way. You can very often hit them. So that's already very annoying. You play against this character who can, in place, become invulnerable at any point in time. So you have to be very careful when attacking him, because you don't want to attack into this way, and you have to be careful when he's attacking you, because you don't want to get caught off guard. So that's the I would say defining factor of Guy. Next up are his normals. He has a very strong jumping B, which is a good cross up and very quick, even though he doesn't have the best jump angle. And then he has good ground normals. Crouching A is a good poke. His sweep is very nice. And he has a normal that also serves as a wrecker starter. He's a very weird to play character. He has these long wrecker strings where he can mix up high and low. And in theory, you might think, well, whenever a character has long wrecker strings, all I have to do is guard cancel roll and punish him. In practice, that's quite hard, because a lot of these wreckers are safe enough that you can't really punish him, and then you will have achieved absolutely nothing with your guard cancel roll. So then you have to guard this and then deal with this high-low throw mix-up of these wreckers. I wouldn't say it's particularly strong, but it's annoying, and it adds up when he pressures you with it. Yeah. Another thing is, if he hits you with these wreckers, he has a very nice launcher that rivals the one from Kula. It's an uppercut launcher that can lead to all the combos Kula would also lead to. That's a full upkick combo for Gato. It's an ace mid-screen for Oswald and all kinds of other stuff. So that's also what's really strong with him. And then the next thing, and that's not to be underestimated, he has incredibly high stun. He can take a lot of hits before you can stun him. That makes some teams not be able to stun him with only one shift. Most notably, I would say, is the Oswald and K-Dash combination, which is the combination that Russia is running and that I'm also running. With these two characters, it's almost impossible to stun Guy, or maybe it's even outright impossible to stun him with just one shift, unless you get like a really unrealistic hit. So these are the strengths of Guy. What are his disadvantages? He has no reversal super, once again. This is something that comes up a lot. He doesn't have great anti-air options, I would say, other than, let's say, instant jumping E and try to fish around with that. And despite his nice normals, he doesn't have the same great pressure that other characters have. Something that also is worth to note here, the best way to deal with his sway, particularly when he does it on wake up, is to option select throw him. What you do is you do a small jump on him and you buffer a throw. If he did not do the sway, he will block the small jump attack and your throw will not come out. If he did the sway, your jump attack will whiff and your buffer throw will just throw him out of whatever he did. And you should always do this against Guy, because every Guy player on the planet is always doing this sways on wake up, and you have to teach them that you will have none of that and you have to throw them all the time. That makes the matchup more bearable if you use this. So is Guy B tier? Is he A tier? I've seen him on many lists on A tier. Personally, I think he's fine on B tier. I think in general, I think some lists overrate him a bit. Yeah. Compared to the other characters, I think he's just weaker than all the ones I mentioned above, except for Jazu. I think Jazu is a little weaker than all the characters up to B+ there. Yeah. Good. So next up, Vanessa, another character I play. She is probably one of the hardest characters to max out. Her skill cap is incredibly high, comparable to K-Dash, but with a lower potential. She can do a lot of crazy things, but she is so hard to play, which keeps her from being higher than B. What is she good at? Well, she has great pressure because she can, just like Guy, she has sways, just not with full invulnerability, but only with 6 frames that are follow-ups. So what you do is you sway cancel, your normals, and that will give you frame advantage. It's also something Guy cannot do. The sway from Guy is way longer. So what you do with Guy is you cancel into the sway and then into your follow-up anyway. With Vanessa, you cancel into the sway and do nothing and wait for the sway to recover, and then you keep asserting pressure. For example, what you can do with her is sweep and cancel sweep into sway, which is super strong that she can cancel a sweep. It's a low hit and you cancel into sway, and then you are +4, +5, and you can do this several times in a row. In fact, on Okizeme you cancel the sweep into sway, and it will cancel even on whiff, which means if your opponent did a reversal, you will be safe. Let's say against Ryo, he does a reversal Shoryuken, it will completely whiff because you cancelled your sweep into sway. It's great. Then she has an incredible jumping C, which is an instant overhead, very nice angle downwards, very fast, you can use it to assert pressure. That's a very strong option. Her crouching B is good because it can lead into forward A and then again into sway. And air to air, she has some of the best normals in the game, I would say. Her jumping A has no hurt box on her hand, so it is a very strong jump-in option that will beat a lot of anti-airs. Her jumping B is just her fist with very long reach, beats a lot of air-to-air moves because of the long range. And yeah, I talked about jumping C already. Her jumping D is basically like a slower version of jumping B, so it's also very good. And her jumping E is probably her worst. That's the drop kick, which is still good and still should be used since it's a jumping E that comes with all the properties that jumping E's usually do, which means high damage, knockdown, and combo and counter hit. So these are her advantages. What else is there? She has a juggle anywhere move in the corner that's kind of hard to use, but it does come up, particularly in combos, and that is her dandy step. That's one of her special moves where she, if you do quarter circle back and kick, she does this teleport back or quarter circle forward kick, teleport forward. That has invulnerability, and it has a follow-up with forward C where she does a forward punch. Basically like the same dandy step like Ryo or Slayer from Guilty Gear. That's why I keep saying dandy step. And this dandy step with quarter circle back kick and then forward C has juggle anywhere. And you can shift to other characters using that. Another thing that's very strong is her punch super. It sucks the opponent in. If you do it as a juggle, your opponent will be standing. And since you can shift it, you can reset your opponent off of a juggle combo and then shift to another character and have a full combo against a standing opponent. This is particularly strong if you play Vanessa with Oswald, because then you can shift to Oswald, and if you do not push a button, Oswald will land behind your opponent and you will still have time to combo, which means you get the full back-turned Oswald combo, which is a dream. It's happy birthday. That's the best you can get there. So those, I would say, are her advantages. What are her disadvantages? Well, horrible defense. First of all, she doesn't have a reversal option other than teleport or sway. Her supers aren't really good enough for reversals. Yes, she can do the punch super sometimes, but very often it will trade and you will have achieved nothing. Then her other super, the one with kick, is too slow. It has invulnerability, but you will never hit anyone with that super as reversal. And then the other issue why her defense is weak, she has horrible anti-airs. Basically, the only anti-air you have is crouching C, and crouching C is so slow that you have to do it basically expecting your opponent to jump. And that's a horrible situation to be in. That's number one. Number two is her normals, her ground normals are horrible. I talked about the good ones already, which are crouching B and crouching D, but all others are really bad. Her standing E, her crouching B, her standing B are all slow as hell. They're actually slower than her close C and crouching B. Close C is the only good close normal she has. It's 5 frame startup, but the activation range, note that in KOF, close normals have different activation ranges. The activation range for close C is so small that very often you will get a far C and that will screw up your combo. So very often you will have a situation where let's say you want to punish something with close C and you will get far C, or you do a jump in on somebody and want to combo with close C, but you get the far C because they have been pushed back too much. That makes her pressure and her combo sometimes very unreliable. So I would say those are her biggest weaknesses. It's just impossible with her horrible standing A to break out of small jump pressure as well. All you can do is mash crouching C and then pray that it was quick enough against Gato's jumping B. It's not. So you will probably have to spend meter to get out of the corner. There's another thing, it's a bit minor, and it's a theoretical thing. I haven't seen it happen yet. But according to KOF11 bot, if you guard cancel roll with Vanessa, she's the only character in the game where guard cancel roll has no invulnerability. It's a bug. So even if you guard cancel roll out, no throw invulnerability, you can actually be thrown out of your guard cancel roll. I didn't have this happen to me yet, but I could see this being an issue with her. So maybe it's better to just do guard cancel with E, the guard cancel attack, the blowback attack, instead of the guard cancel roll with her. Good. I have to refill some water. I don't want to faint from talking too much. So next up, and this is not surprising, is Mary. Interesting character. Mary is interesting because she flew under the radar for a lot of people. She was like an okay character always. She wasn't really weak or anything, but also not super strong. And nobody really paid much attention to her. And then along came Sawakoro. And he, with his team of Griffon, Mary, and Silber, proved that Mary is a strong character. In fact, I have seen some lists where she's placed even higher than B. I think B is fine for her. Yeah, what she can do and what she's good at is basically neutral game, I would say, because she has one of the best anti-air supers in general and best reversal supers, which is I think it's 2x quarter circle forward kick. It's an anti-air super where she just jumps up with her knee, basically does a tiger knee, and it's so quick that you can easily do it on reaction as anti-air. Well, not easily, but Sawakoro does it easily on as anti-air. And that basically makes you as a player, if you play against Mary, unable to jump at her. And she can also Kara cancel her sweep into it. So she can just do a sweep if you're, let's say, in small jump distance, and if the sweep didn't hit and you think, cool, I can jump over the sweep, she can, on reaction, cancel into the super. That's one of the things, how she can dominate neutral. And the other thing is, her pressure is actually quite good, despite the fact that she doesn't have this kind of, let's say, light attack pressure that you know from Gato or Duck King or Eiji, this crouching A pressure. She doesn't really have that, but what she has is an incredibly strong jumping C that can also cross up, that she can use together with standing C. Basically like a fairer version of Kula, where Kula also uses jumping C and standing C. Mary has a 2-hit standing C that is slow enough to make it reactable for you as a Mary player. Let's say you do a jumping C, then you think your opponent might be doing something and you do like a delayed C, so you can, let's say, throw them or whatever, and they did a roll, you can confirm that standing C easily if they did a roll into a full combo. And that brings us to the next point. She has respectable combo potential. It's not great, but it's also not bad. She has some very nice shift combos. If you want to see how that can work out, just watch match videos of Sawakoro. He maximizes what Mary can do. Another thing is her Shoryuken ender. It's the up kick. If she ends combos with that in the corner, you are immediately, automatically backturned. And again, backturned in the corner means you can get crossed up in the corner, and that's a 50-50. If your opponent attacks you early, it's a cross-up. If he attacks you late, it's a fake cross-up. So that's a bad situation to be in against Mary. What are her disadvantages? Hard to say, really. I would say overall it's probably damage. She doesn't have the greatest damage potential, particularly her reversal supers do very low damage. And she's also not too great at breaking out of pressure because of the quality of her light normals. It's not amazing, so I would say that's her disadvantage. Again, not talking, now we enter the territory of the characters where I can't talk as much about them as the other characters, but it gets more and more straightforward the lower we get in the tier list. Next one, Maxima. There's a lot to say, however, about him. I guess Maxima on B, is it controversial? Well, I've seen it on A. I've seen him on A a lot. The reason Maxima is strong is his stun potential. He has, I think, the single highest stun he can exert of all the characters in the game. If you hit with jumping C and do his bread and butter combo and shift to anyone, it's almost always a stun. That's the reason why you run Maxima. It doesn't matter if he's first character or second character, you will get that stun. Usually you want to play him first because you don't really need meter. The way you play him is to poke with Vapor Cannon if you're far away. If that hits with counter hit, you can add another one for massive damage and hard knockdown. You can also use down forward C as a preventive anti-air in neutral. Then once you get close, what you want to do is either cross them up with jumping C, which is an incredible cross-up, but can be low-profiled, which is a problem in some matchups, or use jumping D for wannabe instant overheads. It's a bit slow, but it can actually work. And then you want to abuse his close and far D. Close and far D has the same animation. It's an up kick. Far D cannot be cancelled. Close D can be cancelled. And the great thing about his D is, since it's a kick that's angled upwards, but still hits standing opponents easily and can be comboed, you can use it to stop them from jumping and just contain them easily in the corner or whatever. It combos into forward A and then into his Rekka series, so that's what you want to do up close. He also has guard points on some normals, which aren't great, but can be serviceable, especially if you know what you're doing and you know what gaps are in certain matchups, or even as anti-air, you can use crouching C, cancelled into Vapor Cannon, and it can be a punish because of the linear recovery of jump-ins, but that's quite hard to do. So I would say those are strong points. His shift potential, his stun potential, and therefore also his shift potential against standing opponents. His raw damage in neutral of a Vapor Cannon, and also his close combos. These two things warrant him being very high. Also, he has very high stun, defensive stun. It's hard to stun him. You cannot easily stun him with one shift. However, his downside, and that's a big one, he has very, very bad defense up close. His normals are so slow, it's very hard to break free from the pressure of, let's say, Gato or ducking when they harass you with crouching A. You have almost nothing you can do there because your attacks are so normal. You just have to hope they jump and then mash in close D or do a guard cancel. Otherwise, you will never get rid of them. What you can also do is do a guard cancel roll and then, let's say, try your luck with a command grab, which is also something he has. He has a one-frame command grab, which isn't great, but can do the trick. So why does he have him on B and not on A? Well, I guess because of these disadvantages. Still, I think Maxima is a very good character, and he depends very much on team building. You have to have a good team with him that you can shift to stun somebody. Then he is a good point. And also you have to have a team where you don't have another point that you want to play over him. Then he fits your team. Next up, Griffon. He's gotten from one of the worst characters when the game was released to a very strong character now. Some lists even have him on A. Again, thanks to Sawakoro. Griffon, I think what makes him strong is his flexibility. I feel that this character just can do a lot. He has so many options if you know how to use them. He's also not easy to play because you have to really maximize everything he can do, and he can do quite a few things. So maybe you should start with his normals. He has great range on everything. His far C, that's a chop he's doing, a horizontal chop. Has great range, long active time, is a super good poke to keep people out, keep people from small jumping. Same for his standing A, he can just keep people up from small jumping. Crouching A has great range, will punish mashers nicely. His crouching B has a gigantic hitbox that actually can hit behind him. You can use it to cross people up. During incoming, you slightly walk forward to a crouching B and you hit them behind you. That combos into another crouching B, and then, which in turn combos into a command grab. So also a very nice option there. His sweep is serviceable, I would say. Not great, but good range, but rather slow. Then we have down forward C, which is the beak attack from Garo. It has upper feet invulnerability. This move is completely ridiculous. It beats so much stuff you can't imagine, and it allows juggles. So when you think your opponent jumps, you just do it. I think it's even plus on block, or only like -1. And if you hit them airborne, you can then add an instant jumping B. Jumping B is very quick and has a good range, so you can add that for a combo. Or you can even add a super if you are in the corner and your opponent's cornered. Which brings us to the next point. He has this rush super where he does several attacks. It's an overhead, which only matters against beginners that don't know, but it also has juggle anywhere. So what you do is, whenever you hit somebody air to air, for example with jumping C, which is very, very quick. It's an elbow drop that you usually don't use as you use it as a jump in, but also you use it while jumping, while trying to keep people from jumping. So use it preventively. You jump up, use it, land, and then do the juggle anywhere super. And then you can shift to somebody else and continue the combo. And that's just something you absolutely have to maximize to make this character be strong. This juggle anywhere super. I think it's one of the key things to know and to use when playing him. Another thing are his command grabs. He has a wall press command grab. Well, not wall press, like he throws you against the wall, you bounce off the wall. And that super has upper feet invulnerability, much like his beak. But the joke is that actually beats crouching punches. Even though it should lose to low attacks, it can beat, for example, Duck King's crouching A and Oswald's crouching A, which is absolutely annoying if you play these characters. I think it's one of the main reasons why Duck King has a bad matchup against Griffon. Griffon outranges you and can invalidate your pressure with his command grab. You feel really helpless with Duck because you cannot mash into Griffin's pressure. Against anybody else, you can mash crouching A to get out because it's 4 frames. Against Griffon, it doesn't help you. He just runs up and grabs you, and then you lose. What Griffon usually does after the command grab is to use a air grab. That's a special move he has, and that air grab is unscaled. It doesn't scale. Even if you are low HP, you will die from it if he hits you with that. So that's really cool. Yeah, so that's what makes Griffon good. What are his disadvantages? Not great reversals. He only has this weird command grab where he jumps on your head. I think it's called Active Dupon. It's Dragon Punch Punch, if I'm not mistaken. And it has feet invulnerability on the light kick version and full invulnerability on the heavy kick version. The heavy kick version is super slow and he jumps very fast, so you never use that. What you do is you gamble and hope your opponent does a low attack, and then you use the light kick version, the light punch version, sorry, which gets knocked down then and gives you the advantage. So that's his only really good reversal. Anything else you can't use. Yeah, it does have a command grab super, but you don't really use it as a reversal. In fact, his most famous command grab, the pile driver kind of command grab, actually is not 1 frame in this game. It's rather slow, and you only really use it in punish situations where you cannot use anything else to punish. I thought that's important to point out. So again, not great reversal options, and his defense against some characters that are very oppressive, let's say Gato or Kula, you really have no way of escaping and getting out. His normals aren't quick enough. You have to mash down forward C, hope that you get a hit with that. You don't have an A you can use. Overall, I would say Griffon is a strong character. So now we have 2/3 of Sawakuro's team discussed already. I can't wait for Silber. So, next up, Terry. Terry is a good character. He can also be higher than B, I think, on some lists. I put him, I think, in A even, or B+. I really respect this character. I didn't know too much about him before I went to Japan because we really didn't explore him, which is, to be fair, true for most characters. But being in Tokyo and playing Nishi Kawaguchi Terry and Sagawa and other people who play Terry really opened my eyes on to what this character can do. Terry has very strong normals. His jumping D and jumping B, I think, can cross up. He has very quick normals. His small jump is very low and very fast, so he can exert a lot of pressure with jumping B. And his crouching normals are also very fast. Crouching B, crouching A, and he has a chain combo from crouching A and down forward C, if I'm not mistaken, which is super nice hit confirm he can do. And he can always tack on after his low hit pressure a sweep. Basically, think of a softer version of Gato pressure, where you just use crouching B, crouching A, standing A, jumping B, that kind of stuff. Terry can do as well, with just a little less reward. Then he also has combo options, which are nice. He can break his Shoryuken and then add his Rekka string. He has this weird Rekka string from Garo. I think it's half circle forward and forward and forward again. And that also leads to shift combos, which is quite nice. And he also has an incredible super, Buster Wolf. I think it's 2 times quarter circle forward light kick. And that super is very fast. I think it's only 3 frames startup, so you can punish a million things with it. And it will trade a lot, but the trade is fine for you. It's not terrible, it's not great, not as good as Gato, but still very nice. And that's one of the best punish supers, I would say, in the game. And in general, in neutral, it opens up a lot of possibilities for you against characters who are overly aggressive or try to jump, small jump too much. Another thing worth noting, nobody in Japan plays Terry as leader, but Candy, the German player, plays him as with the leader super. And his leader super is a huge pillar, laser pillar, pointing upwards, which looks deceptively small, but is actually a very nice super that can suck in your opponent. It's very quick, and it can be done on reaction as anti-air, so it should not be underestimated as an option to play Terry as leader. There are probably a lot better options for leaders, but again, this is something that's nice and certainly adds to the character. Speaking about the disadvantages of Terry, I would say his reversal options aren't great. He has Power Dunk as a Shoryuken that he can use, but it's unsafe on block. It's hard to punish, but still unsafe. And I would say, I guess his damage potential and overall flexibility from his hits cannot be compared to the strongest characters. Also, while his pressure is good, he has to commit to small jumps to basically reset the pressure. Otherwise, if he pushes himself out of crouching B, crouching A, he has to, let's say, do a sweep, which is something a lot of the other stronger characters share with him, but for him it's more pronounced. I mean, with let's say ducking or Eiji, I bring this up a lot because they are such shining examples of good crouching A pressure. They can just do crouching A, walk up crouching A. That's not something you really do with Terry, because crouching A cannot be compared. So sooner or later, you will have reached a distance where you have to do a sweep and cancel that into his projectile. Oh yeah, I haven't talked about his projectile. It's very, very fast. It's one of the fastest projectiles in the game. It should not be underestimated in neutral, and it's nice to cancel it after sweep. It's annoying to play a Terry, against a Terry who uses his projectiles. Yeah. So again, pressure. Sooner or later, he will push himself out. I think that's the problem. So next up, Ash. And I think this is the first big controversial placement here on B. I don't think Ash is a strong character. I think Ash is weaker than B tier. What Ash can do and what he is good at is zoning. He can be played like Guile in Street Fighter, where you do Sonic Boom and Flash Kick. And particularly Sonic Booms are nice because against after the light version, you can follow it, run after it, and then just do a small jump and your opponent has to block. Or let's say commit to a roll, which you then can react to. So that can lead to annoying pressure. But his normals are horrible, and his anti-airs, apart from Flash Kick, are really bad. Also, his combo damage is incredibly low, and his shift synergy is almost non-existent. So that's what I don't like about Ash. What I like about Ash, what's also left there, he has a really cool projectile super which spawns a huge laser ball that slowly travels across the screen, basically like Dark Angel from Venom and Guilty Gear, and it forces your opponent to react. He has to do something. I mean, he can block it, but that does nice chip damage, and then if Ash runs after the ball, that just means you have to block even more of Ash's stuff if you blocked it. But if he's low life, he has to do something. And then you can force your opponent to either jump or, let's say, do a roll or a guard cancel roll. Guard cancel roll is probably safer than a roll because the ball is so slow and so big. So very often opponents will try to jump. And when they do that, and you play Ash leader, which is most people's favorite mode of playing him, you can anti-air them with his leader activation and then convert into a combo. So that's some really cool tech. He also has a command grab, which can also be cancelled into the ball, and then it's a bit fancy and not really practical, but if you have full screen space, you can cancel the command grab into the ball, then your opponent will be juggled on the ball, and you can run with the ball into the corner, much like Venom Dark Angel, and then continue the combo there. You can even activate LDM after the ball disappears and do a full combo. You can also do LDM right away after the command grab, so that's also something cool you can do with Ash, a nice offensive option. He also has a command overhead that you can, for example, shift to somebody else to get him out of trouble and maybe even start a combo. But other than that, he is among the weaker characters. I would compare him a bit maybe to Vanessa, because she also has this fancy activation leader combo that overall might be weaker than the activation combo of other characters, but you should probably play her as leader, and that's the same for Ash. Then again, for Vanessa, you can also play her as point, because she has very good shift synergy with Oswald. Yeah, so maybe the comparison doesn't hold. Anyway, Ash has some cool things going for him, but also struggles. Bad normals, bad defense, bad shift synergy, low combo damage. But good neutral, I would say. Which brings us to King. And King has very strong neutral, very annoying neutral to be precise. There's a famous King player in Japan. There's at least 2 people I know who play King. One of them is Ryumi, who plays in Tokyo. He occasionally plays her. And then there's also famous projectile zoning player Tobidogo-san, aka Hiroshi-san. He plays Kensou, King, and Jazu, which is a pure zoning team. And King is a super annoying zoner to play against. She will just keep you away with her projectiles, and in fact, in this game, she has a low-hitting, super slow-traveling projectile, and she also has one where she jumps, which is sort of like an airborne projectile. So she will use that to annoy you, then occasionally do a slide into you, which is a low hit, and then anti-air you with her anti-air special moves, which are not great in this game. It's not like she has a proper Shoryuken. It can trade, it doesn't deal great damage, but it does the trick if people are too obvious with their jumps. And then she can also use Jumping B, which is one of the best air-to-air moves in the game. I encourage you to look up the Hardage wiki to check out the hitbox. If I put it in there already, I might not have. Anyway, it's angled upwards, the gigantic hitbox. It beats everything air-to-air, everything. It's just too insane. However, obviously it leads to nothing, since it's just a light kick. So yeah, very strong zoning. Low combo damage. Offense is okay, even, I would say. She has some shenanigans with her roll. If she gets a hard knockdown and rolls through you, it's very hard to see whether she's left or right, because her collision does not match her sprite. That's something that KOF11 bot pointed out to me. I even made a GIF. I think it's on Twitter. I didn't put it on the wiki yet, but it's really hard to tell whether she's left or right. But overall, then she has low combo damage or not great shift potential, so that hinders her from being higher in the tier list, I would say. Also, her defense, apart from her reversal, is really bad. Next up, another controversial placement, I would say. Shingo has placed Kyo after King and all the other characters. I don't really agree with that. I would put Kyo higher than that. He's a flexible character with strong pressure. His upkicks, as is the case in many KOFs, give massive frame advantage. So if Kyo corners you and does close C upkick, close C upkick, close C upkick, you can only really interrupt them between the upkick kicks, or if you have a very, very, very fast reversal before the close C. Let's say a command grab that's only 1 frame, or like an invulnerable reversal, and you have to know it's coming. He can do all kinds of other stuff. So his pressure is very good. He has, as is usually the case, okay normals. In other KOFs, he has way better normals than here, but they're still okay. His down C is pretty bad here compared to other KOFs. Yeah, the jump down C, where he gets hard knockdown, but you can still use it off of launcher, the upkick mid-screen to get a knockdown. But what most players usually do is you do the upkicks mid-screen, and then you reset them with a jumping C, and then you have like a left-right cross-up mix-up with jumping C, because the jumping C can cross-up here. And he also has the Rekkas, which are very nice to shift to other characters and then start all kinds of juggle combos. Other than that, he has a horrible Shoryuken here. It's really bad, and his reversal options are also really, really bad. He has this, basically Orochinage isn't used ever. You just don't use it. There's no point in using it because you cannot shift it, and you rarely get a launch where you can tack it on, where it's worth it. So what you do is you use the other super, which is like this rush punch super, and that you can actually shift then to other characters. And it has some invulnerability. I think you can use it as a reversal, but it's way too slow and not great. So certainly something that where Ryo is not great. His defense is surprisingly bad in this game. Yeah. But overall, I think he's still a good character, particularly because of his long corner Rekka chains and juggles that build meter and can lead to shift combos and even stun combos. He's like a baby version of the juggles that, let's say, Kula can do, for example. Yeah. Next up, Yuri. I think she's fine in B tier. She's a good character. I vastly underestimated her until I played against Ryumi, which plays an incredibly strong Yuri. His neutral game is insane. What Yuri is good at, her air normals are some of the best in the game, particularly her air-to-air normals. Her jump up C has no hurtbox on her hands. Her jumping kicks are all incredible. She has a command cross-up that's very good to use. And she has, on the ground, she has a down forward D, I think it is. That's basically like a crouching mid-kick from, let's say, third strike. That's a low hit that doesn't launch, and that can be super cancelled. So she has nice combo options on the ground as well. Overall, I would say her combo damage isn't great. Normal pressure isn't as good as the top tiers, and her defense isn't great. Her reversal options suck. Her Shoryuken is more like a combo tool than a real anti-air tool. So what you have to do is then use standing B as anti-air, or maybe not get into a situation where you have to anti-air. So that's her weaknesses. I think she's good, well placed in B, much like King, for example. Those two are the stronger female characters. King, Yuri, Vanessa, and yeah. Next up, Yuri. I also think he's fine in B. Yuri is a character that varies wildly in tier lists. I've seen him in as low as C, and I've seen him as high as A. It's hard to place him, in my opinion. He has some good stuff. He has some bad stuff. The good stuff is he has some nice mind games up close with command grab and his standing B for low hit. Also, his close D gives massive frame advantage. You can link a crouching A and then get hard knockdown and then repeat the whole thing. The bad stuff is he has really bad shift synergy because you have to shift after the first Rekka if you want to get a standing hit shift. The second Rekka already launches, so that's not great. He doesn't have the usual C forward A into special move cancel. His forward A cannot be cancelled, so that also sucks. And his Shoryuken is horrible in this game, much like Kyo's. It doesn't really work as an anti-air. It's very unreliable. So yeah, he has some nice stuff, some bad stuff. I find it hard to place him. I don't see him as being A+, or even A. For example, Pai, the Korean player, has him as A. I know that K-Kong, one of his friends, plays him, and he's very strong with Yuri. If you want to see a strong Yuri, there's two people I can recommend. The first one is Okinawa-Kaz, who plays, in my opinion, the strongest Yuri in the world. In my last video that I did for the Mad Gear donation live stream, I showed matches of him, but you can also find him in the Hard Edge match video archive. I think I tagged him there by name, so if you look for Okinawa-Kaz, you should find him. And the other strong Yuri player is K-Kong, who is a Korean player, and if you want to see him play, you can watch the Korea versus Japan tag match on YouTube. It's easy to find. That's K-Kong and Pai versus Urasha and Shingo. Those are incredible matches. You should absolutely watch them if you haven't seen them. That's KOF on the highest level. But yeah, I find it hard to rate Yuri. I find it also interesting that the ratings differ so strongly. I think his weakness that is much the same that Eiji has, where his shift synergy just isn't good. I would say his neutral is probably better than Yuri because his normals have better range. I guess that makes him a bit comparable, but I would say if you compare Eiji and Yuri head to head, I would say Eiji wins. Eiji is just stronger than Yuri, despite these things. So next up, Clark. Clark is a good character with some flaws, but overall he has some very strong offense options. Clark has weird but very strong air normals, like in every KOF. Jumping D has an incredible hitbox but is angled upwards. So what you do is you push it right when you leave the ground, and anybody jumping will definitely get hit by jumping D. Sometimes you even hit people that stand if you do small jump instant jumping D. And then you just do a command grab when you land, because if they didn't jump, then you can just throw them, for example. Which leads us to his command grabs. There's several, like in all KOFs. He has a one-frame command grab, a Super Argentine Backbreaker that has the elbow drop follow-up, which is a good combo tool. The next one is his Frankensteiner, which has full invulnerability until the hit. That's Shoryuken and Kick. It's very slow and weird, but it hits a lot of people, especially if you use it in pressure. Because of the built-in slow delay, they will have lost their throw protection after they got an attack from you, and then you can just throw them. Also, if they push a button, you will just beat the button because of the invulnerability. That's also something you can use after the instant jumping D as a very Gato setup. Then he has a run that is blockable. Basically, he runs up, it's half circle forward punch, and then tackles the opponent. It's blockable, so you might think that's really stupid. Also, it has follow-ups that can be broken. You just push a button and the opponent can just press buttons and break out. I think I tried this out in practice, and I think there's a way to, if you push the buttons in succession, to just break every single follow-up, so the follow-ups aren't guaranteed, which is really stupid. However, the way to use it is you use it as anti-air. You use the run as anti-air, and it will grab the opponent right out of the air, and then you can immediately super cancel it into half circle forward kick. And you can do this in one motion. What you do is in neutral, half circle forward punch on reaction if somebody jumps. and then immediately do a half circle forward kick. That will do the 2 times half circle forward kick for the kick super, and then you have a nice combo there. The problem is that takes a shift stock because it's a super cancel, so you have to think twice if you really want to waste a stock on that. Other than that, other nice normals from Clark. Crouching C is a weird punch that for some reason, even though the hitbox that doesn't look great, is insane and hits so many things and wins against so much stuff. You can use it as a strong poke, does nice damage, especially on counter hit. Fast C is a nice fist that stops a lot of people and a lot of stuff. What else? Close B and crouching B give enough frame advantage to link a close C that you can then hit confirm into command grabs. Very important to know, particularly crouching B, because that's a low hit that would then lead into a combo. He has a nice Ranbu super that you can link off of crouching B, that you can also shift to other characters, so his shift potential is quite okay actually. And then there's also forward B, which is an overhead and allows shifts to other characters. That's also really cool. You can also do close C and forward B and then shift that. That's a legit combo. So Clark has a lot of stuff he can do. I think the things where he isn't great is his defense. He basically doesn't have any. He does have an anti-air special move, but good luck using that. The angle is horrible. It doesn't really win against most small jumps. It's just a guess and it will get you punished. He doesn't have good normals he can do as anti-airs as well. His crouching C is not an anti-air. His standing E is okay to stop small jumps, but other than that he has problems breaking free of pressure. Huge problems actually. Yeah, so that's it for Clark. Overall he's a good character, but bad defense and combo potential is only okay, I would say, and not great. Shift potential is only just okay. So last one in the B tier for Shingo is Silber, and that's also a surprising placement. I think almost everybody agrees that Silber is more a weak character than a strong character, but I can immediately tell you why he has him on B, and that's Sabakuro. Sabakuro plays Silber as leader, and it's his strength alone that warrants this character being in B tier. Silber's leader super is a dash kick with very few hits and incredibly high damage. It's very fast. You can use it to punish stuff and you can use it for combos. It's basically like a baby version of Adelheid's leader super in a way. You can use it in similar situations, but Silber's leader super will lose more. It doesn't have the same invulnerability. Still, you can use it to punish stuff full screen. Silber is a very slow character. Horribly slow normals, very bad at breaking out of pressure. When you try to walk or run with him or even jump at opponents, you will immediately understand what I mean. He's a tank. He feels like playing a tank. His crouching B is pathetic, can lead to nothing. His A attacks are incredibly slow. However, standing A hits against crouching opponents, which is one of the few standing A's that does that, can be cancelled into forward A, which is his command normal, and that is actually a combo. So that's his bread and butter stuff. If you need a fast attack, you do standing A, forward A, and then confirm that into one of his supers, the Rambo super, which can also be shifted for additional hits. He has a counter super, which is actually not bad. In general, I mean, counters in any game aren't always great because you kind of have to commit to them on react. I mean, you can't always react. Your opponent jumps on you, then he doesn't push a button. You did your counter, then you look like an idiot. But still, his counter super is kind of nice. It's good damage. He has a regular counter as well that you have to use from time to time. I think, other than his speed, another problem he has, his low hits lead to nothing. He can only sweep. His sweep is horrible and slow. His crouching B leads to nothing. So how do you open them up? Well, there's jumping C, which I haven't talked about. It's a gigantic fist angled downwards that, if you do it off of a normal jump, does hard knockdown. And if you ever hit with that, it can also cross up easily. You can add his kick super. His kick super is where he leaves basically the screen, jumps off of the screen, and then comes slamming down with an X kick. And that X kick can hit on the ground for massive, massive damage. So how you play Silber is basically try to somehow hit them with jumping C and then confirm that kick super, or try to somehow get a standing E hit in forward A. These are your bread and butter hits. This is how you usually hit your opponent. You can also try and hit them with small jump D, or I think he has forward A or forward B. I think it's forward B. That's a hop kick that is multi-hit. It's mostly a combo tool off of C. You do C and then forward BB, that's hard knockdown. However, if you do the hop kick, forward B, and then immediately input another B, it does the second hit anyway, even if the first one didn't hit, and it will give you an overhead. That hit is overhead, so you can use that as Okizeme. Even though the question remains why you should ever block low against Silber. I guess if you are low HP and don't want to eat a sweep. Coming back to jumping C, again I already talked about jumping C, doing hard knockdown. If you do it off of a normal jump, well, you can also do it off of a small jump, and then it doesn't do hard knockdown, but you can use it to start a combo and just to assert incredible amounts of pressure. So that's how you play him. Again, disadvantages: incredibly slow, incredibly, horribly slow, horrible low normals, and bad defense. He's only in B tier because of Sabakuro. Otherwise, I would probably put him in C. So that wraps it up for B tier. Let's talk about B minus. Shingo placed Benimaru in B minus. I think Benimaru is a good character. He is very fast. As always, his jumping D is very strong. He has a good jump arc. He has fast low normals, nice standing B to pressure your opponent. And also he has, because of his relatively high small jump, he can cross up people with jumping B easily. And I told you before, if you get a back turn knockdown in the corner, you can cross people up in the corner. And Benimaru's throw makes just that. If you throw them in the corner, they will wake up back turned. And because of his small jump arc, he's one of the few characters you can do a corner cross up with a small jump there. So what you do is you throw your opponent in the corner and then you do a small jump, jumping B. You either push the button early or late. If you push it early, it's a cross up. You push it late, it's a fake cross up. Very annoying to deal with, very hard to see. It's a strong corner option there for Benimaru. Benimaru's leader is incredibly good. Well, incredibly good is a bit of an overstatement. I would say it's good because it has juggle anywhere. It's a short projectile burst, doesn't have great range, but does nice damage and has juggle anywhere. And what you do is you air to air with jumping B because it's so quick, or you sweep them and then you do the LDM on reaction. You basically poke away on your opponent with Benimaru all the time, try to hit them when they get impatient, try to jump, and then you hit them with the LDM. I think you should play Benimaru as a leader. I think he's not good if you don't play him as a leader. Not playing him as a leader, his combos don't have great shift potential. He can't do much. His damage isn't great. It also doesn't make any sense to shift to him unless you play him as a leader. That's why he's not so strong. Next up on his list is Shen. Shen is also a character that's usually rated way lower than B-. Shen is an offense-based character that wants to put a lot of pressure on the opponent. Shen wants to, or rather has to, get into situations that are slightly minus for him, very close to your opponent, and then you mix them up with command grab or more attacks, and they don't know what you're gonna do. The concept sometimes works, mostly doesn't. Basically, if you want to play an offensive character, the top tier characters do all of this better. What he can do and what he's nice at is situations where you hit them with the dash punch, particularly super dash punch on reaction in neutral. And on counter hit, you can add another dash punch, super or regular one, and that deals nice, respectable damage. Other than that, he can't do anything from low hits, much like in KOF13. At least in KOF13, you could activate, if I'm not mistaken, into HD. But in KOF11, can't do much. Shift synergy also isn't great. Combos also not really great. So overall, an offense-based character that lacks a bit the tools to be dangerous, I would say. That being said, he's fun to play. His cancels, particularly his dash punch cancel, his close game with command grab and everything is fun. He's fun to play. His leader super, the activation. If you ever hit anybody raw with it, it deals like 70% damage. It's ridiculous, but that will never happen unless you stun somebody. So you have to cancel into that, and then you can't really continue the combo. It just buffs him. I would avoid playing him as a leader, just for fun. Next up in B- tier is Athena. Athena, I think, is a good placement in B-. I think many lists underrate her. If you want to see a strong Athena, there's a couple of players that you can look out for. Number one, I would say, is Kentucky. Kentucky-san from Tokyo. he plays Whip and Athena. He plays the best Whip. I'll talk about Whip in a minute. And he likes to play Athena as well, leader Athena. And if you want to play her, you absolutely have to play her as a leader. She is not a good character if you don't play her as a leader. She doesn't have any great combos. She doesn't have great pressure. Her neutral isn't great. Her anti-airs are okay with Shoryuken, but not really great. Low damage, doesn't have a good angle, or has too many hits. So you play her as a leader. Why do you play her as a leader? Well, her leader super is absolutely ridiculous. It deals insane amounts of damage, only has one hit. So again, very high damage there, nice scaling. And you can shift to her from many characters and then easily juggle into her LDM for high damage. Her LDM also is unblockable, the second hit. It usually doesn't play a role. If people know what they are doing, they just roll through it and then punish you. But there's some matchups where that's very hard to punish. Not everybody can easily punish that, so that can also be abused then if you are a bit trigger happy as Athena with the LDM. Sometimes you will get through with it, people will not punish you. So please play her as a leader if you play her. And there isn't much more to say. I guess one interesting thing to point out there, she has this air move where she does the roll in the air. I forgot the motion, I think it's quadruple forward punch. And that can be super cancelled in the air into the LDM, because you can also do the LDM in the air. And when you hit with this air move before the LDM, for some reason your opponent cannot safety shift. It's a bug. It's one of the two instances where opponents cannot safety shift. The next one is coming right up, and that's Kensou. His jumping D cannot be... No, wait, I'm wrong. It's not Kensou, sorry, it's Shingo. Anyway, let's talk about Kensou. Kensou on B-, I really like this placement. Oh, you're right, Marlin is missing. For some reason, this is the second time Shingo forgot to put Marlin on the list. I'll talk about Marlin afterwards. There's two lists from Shingo, this one and another one. On the first one, somebody pointed out, hey, you forgot Marlin, and then he was like, oh right, I'm gonna correct this in the next tier list end of the year, and then I think he didn't correct it after all. So yeah, I'll talk about Marlin in a minute. Anyway, Kensou. I like the fact that he placed Kensou on B-. Kensou, in my opinion, is a bit underrated. Many players place him on C, C-. It's understandable because Kensou's damage is terrible. His anti-airs are really bad. I mean, he has a Shoryuken he can use, but it has such low damage. He has really bad shift synergy. He just doesn't feel like a threatening character. However, what people generally underestimate is his zoning capabilities. He's a neutral game character. You play him as a zoner. You fireball all day long. Then when they approach you, you do the lunge punch, which is then safe on block because of the distance, or you do the air dive bomb move, which is plus and leads to a guaranteed crouching A, even on block, that cannot be interrupted. It's very annoying to deal with, and then you can also cancel your sweep in projectile, and your opponent has to guess. If they know you're going to cancel the sweep into projectile, they have to jump, but they have to know it. And if you don't, they just jump at you, you can anti-air them. Very, very annoying to deal with. There's some matchups that are even considered even by top players that make no sense. For example, Kensou against Gato, some people are saying this could be an even matchup because it's so annoying to play against Kensou. If you want to see good Kensou, watch match videos from Tobidogu-san, aka Hiroshi-san. He was playing at the last Sabakuro festival and did very, very well with his team there. I can recommend watching these videos if you want to see a good Kensou. Yeah, that's it for Kensou. Play him as a zoner. He's annoying, low damage, doesn't matter. Nice character, underrated. Next up is Jenet, and I have to admit I know almost nothing about Jenet, other than she's generally a bit underrated on some lists. For example, I think Pai from Korea has her own bottom tier, which is completely wrong in my opinion. Her crouching C is a very nice move. It's horizontal attack, but it can be used as an anti-air. It beats, for example, Duck King's jumping D straight. It doesn't look like an anti-air, but it's an anti-air. Then she's most famous for her air move, which is the dive move, the Shoryuken actually, which has a break, and you can use this for pseudo infinite pressure. She has a multi-hit air move, I think it's jumping C, and she has a cross-up. So, oh yeah, and her ground projectile travels over the whole screen, doesn't disappear. It's quite annoying. Overall, she is not a great character, doesn't have great damage. Her pressure only consists of this break move and that she's doing, which can easily be countered by doing a guard cancel roll, but you have to invest meter, so she doesn't really use normals to exert pressure. Also, her small jump isn't too great in her options from there. She doesn't have any great anti-air options other than her super, I think. Not a great character, but certainly not a bad character as well. She's an average character, I would say. But again, I'm not an expert to her on her. Next up is Whip, placed on B-. I would also call this a bit controversial. Whip is generally considered a weak character. She has a very unique game plan, which works in other KOFs, but here she kind of lacks the synergy that you don't need in KOFs where there's no shifts. She has really bad shift potential. Shifting to her, shifting from her makes no sense. She's like Eiji in that regard, maybe even a little worse, but also being a worse character. What she's good at is if she's very close to you, she can harass you horribly with jumping C, which is a great quick cross-up, and standing B, which is a low hit that you then confirm into a combo. If she's far away, she can harass you with jump up C, which is a very nicely angled air-to-air that will stop all jump-in attempts. And then she also has these mind games where she puts up the whip above her head, and then either has a low hit, high hit, or an unblockable, and she can also cancel the stance. And it's annoying to get in on her, but the whip player has to be absolutely on point to make the most out of her. And I would say the best whip player in the world is Kentucky. And if you want to see a great whip, try to look for match videos of Kentucky-san. I'm not sure I have any linked in the Hardedge wiki in the matchbit archive, but you might find some there. If not, then I recommend checking Ryoji's videos that he uploads on YouTube. I know that Kentucky sometimes plays at carnivals. You might find some there. He might also be at Robot sometimes, the Game Center Robot, which also has uploads by Taro, I think, on YouTube. Also, Whip, horrible defense. Since she has these weird normals, all her normals are like really weird with her whip moving and everything being super slow. She doesn't have a proper anti-air against small jumps other than trying to mash crouching C, which is very slow and hoping to get a hit there. Granted, if you get the crouching C hit, that you can confirm into her juggle anywhere, which is really cool. So you can get a hard knockdown off of crouching C. But again, it doesn't happen very often. She struggles very hard if your opponent has gotten in on you and you cannot ever break free. Next is Elisabeth on B-. She has some cool stuff. Interesting character. She has a juggle anywhere super. But you probably know it if you've played KOF13. It's the one where she rushes forward and does an upward attack. And if she cancels into her LDM also becomes a projectile. Otherwise, I think it's a counter, much like in 13. Then her standing B is a low hit. She has a nice low-reaching jump-in with jumping B, and I think it can also cross up if I'm not mistaken. Other than that, she struggles. She doesn't have great combo. She has very low damage, even on these Shoryuken juggles she has that are fancy and not always easy to hit. Her defense is really bad, so that's why she's usually rated low. Usually I see people play her both as leader and as non-leader. You would play her as a non-leader because if you hit with the Shoryuken in a combo, you can shift out and have this very nice Kula style launch that can give you all kinds of cool combos. Up kicks with Gato, ace with Oswald, so that's okay. But other than that, overall, she's more of a weak character. So now we are entering the C- territory, led by Shingo. Shingo is also a character where he's not really great. His normals are kind of bad, but his air normals can be annoying. Jumping D is good, and he has air Shingo kick, which is like a delayed air hit that can really hit you weirdly because it can screw your anti-airs because you do them too early, and it can actually cross up the air Shingo kick, but it's quite unsafe. But playing against Shingo can be annoying because of these air Shingo kicks. I think he only has them here. Not sure in which other KOFs he has them. He also has this bug I mentioned before, much like Athena. For him, if you hit somebody with jumping D, it blocks saving shift until the combo is over. So if you play him as leader, you can do jumping D and then immediately leader hit confirm and your opponent cannot saving shift. His leader super, if it whiffs, he's high up in the air and then he falls down, and the fall down also does damage. So be really careful when you play against him. It can deal a lot of damage. Fits his hilarious playstyle, I guess. All over, he's not a strong character despite these cool things he can do. He's just lacking. I haven't played too much against him. I haven't really analyzed him. I mean, he doesn't have great combos, no great shift potential. bad damage, can't do a lot of stun, so not a great character. And speaking of can't do a lot of stun and a lot of damage, that leads us to Duolon, which is an incredibly fun character to play with a million special moves that all amount to not much, unfortunately. He deals very low damage, bad shift synergy, can't do much stun, except if you get a back hit. That's kind of cool. Then you can do this longer Rekka combo where you intentionally drop the Rekkas and then reset with crouching A for a longer combo. He has horrible anti-airs, horrible defense, no reversal super at all, but he's really cool and you should play him for fun. Yeah. Kasumi's next. Kasumi is the opposite of what she is in 2K2 UM. Really bad normals, bad damage, bad shift synergy, overall just not a good character. The way to play her is to play neutral with her and try to hit people with her projectile special move. I think that's the best thing you can do. She also has a juggle anywhere special move that you can use after her Rekkas, but overall she's not really great up close. What you usually do is you use this the launcher, hit them in the air, and then give them a left-right 50-50. This and projectile zoning. Other than that, she's just lacking overall very much. And now we come to another character where I know next to nothing about them, which is Hayate. I would describe him as a zoner that has wacky moves up close. For example, he has a back C, I think, that's completely invulnerable. And he just pauses, and then after like 30 frames, half a second, does an attack that cannot even be cancelled, other than quick shift, I think. He's really weird. His jump arc is shit. He has these weird air special moves where he just blows off of the character and falls really far away from them. It's just overall not a great character. If you want to annoy people, play him by all means. I mean, his boomerang pressure is annoying. You can even anti-air people with the boomerang super. I've been OCV'd by Hayate by Urusha because I had no idea what was going on. And speaking of OCVs, Urusha also sometimes plays Momoko, who's next on D+. Widely considered to be the worst character in the game. Here she is before Ramon. I don't agree, but that's okay. She has really stubby limbs and really short range, horrible normals, horrible jump arc, her small jumps way too high, way too slow, no shift synergy, horrible combos, horrible defense, but she can be really tricky if your opponent doesn't know what's going on, because she has these really weird high-low breakdance moves. You never know what like if there's a high or a low coming next. She has a double jump, which is kind of bad, but still she has air special moves that you can use to somehow delay her fall and annoy you. You don't really know where the gaps are if you don't know how to play against her. A bad character, but she can be exploited if your opponent doesn't know what's going on. And firmly on last place, according to Shingo, is Ramon. Ramon is a shadow of what he is in 2K2. In 2K2 he has this really cool feint cancel pressure with down forward C and down C and down forward B and feint, and then you can loop that and do like really cool combos and stuff. You can do this stuff here too, but overall he just deals really bad pressure. He only really has jumping C going for him, bad normals, no shift synergy, really bad defense. So also not a great character. In fact, there were like Ramon analysis matches not too long ago, about 3-4 months ago at Port 24, where Savakuro and I think Rock were playing Ramon to figure out how to play this character. So if you're interested in seeing some Ramon play, I would suggest checking out the archive of Port 24. And that leaves only one character which was missing on this list, and that's Marlene. And Marlene, in my opinion, is B tier because of her leader super. She is a tricky character to play. She's very fast. Has a very high jump arc, which is fine because she has a jump special move that lets her change her jump angle, and also an air super, which is really cool because the air super can be used to beat people's anti-airs. It's a bit of a gamble, but what you do is you jump at them, and at the last moment when they try to do an anti-air, you do the air super, and it has just enough invulnerability to beat their anti-airs. I see good Marlene players do that from time to time. On the ground, she's more tricky to use. What you usually do is close C into forward A, that's this tiny hop, and then a special cancel. Either the one where you do the air special where she runs away, so you're safe again, or you cancel it into this electroshock Zai for stun and damage. And then what really defines her is her LDM. That's the hammer. It's an overhead. It's quick. It deals incredible amounts of damage. On trade, you can actually roll forward and do another one for an instant kill, but that's like a really theoretical combo. I think that's the quickest kill in the whole game. It takes like 2 seconds or something. But what the hammer also can do is OTG. If your opponent is knocked down, you can add the hammer and it will still hit. And there is a bug in KOF11 where there's a short time frame where an OTG will not count as a combo but still combo. And what that does is it will reset scaling. And there are certain setups with 2 characters or even with Marling alone where you do a certain combo and then delay something and then you always get the unscale hammer. And that deals insane amounts of damage. So if you play Marling, I suggest playing her as a leader to maximize her potential. So that concludes the tier list discussion. What would I do differently from Shingo's list? This is less my opinion and more the opinion coming from, or let's say my opinion is informed on tier lists from other players I have seen. What I usually see is Iori is lower on this list, Guy is higher on this list. I would say, what else? Silber definitely is lower on this list than B tier, but I think it's arguable that it's B. I think Sawakoro proves that Silber is a strong character. I think players playing a character strong, it's hard to see what is the player and what is the character, but I think he proves if he can win with this team and with this character, he proves that these characters are strong. It's the same for Griffon and for Mary. I think I would put Shen lower than B-. I also would put Whip a bit lower, and I certainly would put Hayate lower and Ramon higher. Other than that, I think the list is arguably fine. I mean, in the A- to B range, there's a lot of shifting back and forth and could be done. I mean, Maxima could be stronger, for example. Ash, I would probably put way lower than that. But it's a very interesting list from Shingo, and obviously he knows what he's talking about. So this took forever, and I need to let my voice rest a bit. I think I'm gonna drink a tea. Can already feel how it's getting raspy. So thanks everybody for watching. If you enjoyed this, let me know. And maybe, I don't know, maybe tonight or tomorrow, depending on how things are going, I might do more match video analysis. It's not like I have anything better to do. It's the Easter weekend. I'm chill at home. If you like this, I love doing this. Let me know what kind of videos you want to see. If you want to see specific matches, or if you want to hear me talk about specific topics. If you have questions, ask me on Twitter, ask me here. Everything, both is fine. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.